You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on a Tuesday after a magnificent Monday in the sports world. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
Tired. I'm tired. Last night took a lot out of me. Mentally, physically, emotionally. It drained me. There was a lot going on. I mean, just when the hockey ended, the basketball started getting really good. I mean, what a night. Whatever your flavor is. If you're a Rays fan, you had a big win. If you're a hockey fan, you had an incredible game, and the team north of the border, well, they won a Game 7. And the team in Buffalo does what they often do, all but once in their history in Game 7, that's lose. And then this Wemby guy, he's pretty good. As in, like, unflippin' stoppable.
He hit a logo 3 in overtime to tie it. For goodness sakes.
They showed a stat late fourth, about 3 minutes left in the game, and give OKC credit for coming back in the game and forcing overtime, first and foremost. But they were like 10 of 21 or 10 of 20 when Wemby was out of the game. They were 10 of 61, something ridiculous when he was in. I mean, the way he affects the defensive side is unlike anything we've ever seen in this sport.
The two-time reigning MVP was 7 of 23 from the field. Now, he made 10 free throws. He ended up with like 23 or 24 points. But first off, he averages over 30. Secondly, how many times have you seen or heard of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shooting 30% from the field in a game that goes overtime? Listen, we just touched on the Spurs a little bit the last 2 weeks, in which we just started telling you what other basketball people who played the game, some of them at a Hall of Fame level, and we just said, did you see what he said last night about Wemby? And then a day or two later, did you hear what Barkley said? Looked right at Shaq and said, you were the most athletic big man the game's ever seen until this guy?
He is
a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. OKC may win this series. Okay. Who knows? They might win 4 straight. But, man, if you got Wemby on your team, your team's ready now. I don't think they've got to put in their time and their dues. I think they're ready. Oklahoma City was ready last year, and it was their first time on the big stage. This is the Spurs' first time on the big stage with this group of guys. Yeah, I don't think they need a learning curve.
No, and, they've got other players. Castle and Harper can play.
Uh-huh.
They've got their 3. We just haven't paid much attention because they're all kids.
Right. Anybody older than 25 of the group? I mean
this, if look at, I will say, and, the old Spurs dynasty wasn't a lot of fun to watch.
No.
They were not aesthetically pleasing. They were a machine, but they were not, in my opinion, an enjoyable watch on a nightly basis. The style in which they played wasn't something that made me excited to watch them. Respected them. I remember when they took down my Pistons, I was like, man, you guys aren't even in the same league as this team. But this team, because of Wemby, and the way that the floor is spread out because of his presence and what he can do offensively. And defense isn't usually fun, David. Defense is hard work. Defense is a commitment. I mean, work and a commitment. Those are things that aren't what we consider fun.
Right.
Three-pointers are fun. Oh, yeah, he hits those. Dunks are fun. Alley-oops are fun. Hell, he doesn't have to jump for an alley-oop hardly. They're fun.
I love the couple rebounds a game he gets in which he doesn't leave his feet. He's just like, the ball's coming to me. I'll just wait a split second longer. My goodness. Mac in our Twitch chat room says he's 22. Kind of reminds me of Tiger at 21, 22. Remember, Tiger at 21 won the Masters in 97.
Right. He hadn't been driving much yet.
No.
That's when he could drive the golf ball and didn't drive a car as often.
Well, he couldn't rent a car yet. So.
Right.
Plus, he had a driver driving him around in all those Buicks.
Because he wouldn't be caught dead driving.
I was going to say, we all love that.
I like Buicks. I do.
I know. It's from your old neck of the woods, but
I did a lot of work for Buick in another lifetime. I did a ton of work for the Buick Motor Corporation. So I really can't say bad things. I like their cars.
We were all rooting for Buick when Tiger was endorsing them. It's just we wanted one piece of video of him actually driving one, and we couldn't get it. It's kind of like Brady when he, Subway and a couple of the other things. It's like, Tom, you've gone out of your way to tell us you would rather be caught dead than have a 6-inch sub of the day at Subway. Come on now. Besides, we just don't get the feeling that cost is important to you. $4.99, $6.99. We just don't think it matters. Nor should it. You're doing pretty well for yourself. But, so OKC was really young last year, and they're still young this year, and they must feel they're playing the JV team. Only the JV. Is this like what it was like at UCLA back in the day when the varsity was winning national championships and Lou Alcindor was on the freshman team and he couldn't play yet, and they would beat them in practice?
It had to be. And David, what I think this series has the ability to do, and it will be interesting when the Eastern Conference Final starts, because who do we have in the studio? The guys that don't give a damn what they talk about. The former TNT crew, the Inside the NBA crew.
Right.
Could this series take the oxygen out of a Knicks series? Come on. ESPN's got the Knicks. They're going to want to talk about the Knicks 24/7 every day. Knicks, Spike Lee, Stephen A, Spike Lee, Stephen A, rah, rah, rah. And they're going to go to Inside the NBA, and I have a feeling that Shaq and Chuck and the boys are going to talk Western Conference Final for the majority of the pregame.
Well, considering Barkley's already on record as saying both these teams aren't any good, Shaq's the only one that thinks one of the two teams in the Eastern Finals is good. Kenny Smith and Barkley are like, there's just not really much here. Brunson's okay. Donovan Mitchell's okay. But yes, Mark, I think you just nailed it. They're going to spend their obligatory 6 to 8 minute segment on the East. Kenny and Chuck are going to tell Shaq that these teams aren't any good. They're playing for second place. Shaq's going to tell them that the Knicks are worth a damn. And then they're going to talk Wemby.
I have to be honest with you. You know what this is kind of like? Believe it or not, David? The NFL, where we don't care your market size if you have a good team. We talk about the Packers there. If you
right,
if you're the best team, that's what we talk about, and that's the only sport that we do that for. And right now, the two best teams are Oklahoma City and San Antonio,
without question. The Knicks would have to continue because they did just go a 7-game run in which they shot way over 50% and shot 50% from the arc. So the Knicks would have to continue or get back to that level of play, I think, for anybody to think that they're going to really push the Western Conference champion to the limit the way Indiana pushed OKC last year.
But if you didn't know it already, there is a new star out there.
Oh, my goodness.
Victor Wembanyama. What, 41 and 24, I think is what it was last night?
That's points and rebounds, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, against the defending world champions, led by the 2-time reigning MVP of the league. 41 points, 24 rebounds. We talked about it yesterday. Not that it matters, Mark, anymore, because we said we're not going to bring it up. But for those of you in which it still matters, that's 41 and 24 on the road.
But with that being said, that performance and that game went to overtime.
Double overtime.
Right. I mean, that you know, he didn't get that in regulation, and he needed all of it for the Spurs to win. This could be a hell of a series. Yep. This is a series, David, believe it or not, that with that type of game one could bring the person who has complained about the NBA for years at least back in an interest level. And if it keeps up, and I don't mean double overtime every game, but you know what I mean, a solid back and forth series could bring people back to the game. That's how good last night was.
And instead of 144, 114, the game was 101 apiece going overtime. You know, scores you used to recognize. Yeah. Hey, you know, you could take this for what it's worth, but in the regular season, didn't the Spurs go 3-1 against OKC? They matched up pretty well. We thought, you know, the Spurs would give them a series. That's with Wemby playing a normal game. We thought they'd give him a series. Damn.
41 in a game one road victory. I've never rooted for San Antonio in my life, but something about that shade of blue and all the fans wearing it made me instantly want San Antonio to win every game.
Wow. Uniforms doing it again to you.
At the fans, those blue fan shirts. Oh, it was just something. Miller and Moulton were something.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332516.
No! This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio, with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes alive.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You know, Mac, I said the same thing. I texted that to my son and my buddy. And I said it to David as well. I'm with you. They skate well. I mean, they seem like they can skate with anybody. I mean, that's as well as Buffalo played. I mean, they won the blowout game in Game 6, but I thought from a 60-minute standpoint, I really thought Buffalo played a complete game. They got zebraed. Never should have blown that whistle. That would have been a goal, but what are you going to do? I mean, he didn't have it very long for that whistle to be blown. And that's Wes McCauley, and he's a good referee.
Mm-hmm. Mac, I will say this. I think it'll take Carolina a game to get going, but I think their forecheck is going to take apart that D. I think Montreal's going to start turning the puck over a lot against Carolina's forecheck. But we'll see.
Last night they didn't, but in that series, I would say Montreal won 75% of the 50-50 pucks. And they win all the faceoffs. That's 2 series in a row in which they've been dominant on faceoffs. Dominant. I think Carolina's better, but I think we've got a series.
I'll go Carolina in 6.
Sounds about right.
I got to take Montreal Game 1.
You and I both, Stumpy. And David as well. I was rooting hard for Buffalo.
Yeah.
I don't ever root for French Canadians in anything. David liked the Expos, not me. I didn't dislike him, I got to be honest with you. I mean, Andre Dawson played there. He was awesome.
I know. I love Tim Raines.
I know you've seen this story. Tim Raines just reminds me of Ricky Henderson. I think it's Baines telling that story, or Reynolds telling that story, that he, won the year Ricky got hurt. He goes, that was the only year I won. He goes, hey, Ricky here. I'd have had 60 at the break. Click. Ricky had 60 at the break.
And Reynolds won the stolen base title with 62 or something like that. Got his 4,000th hit in Montreal as an Expo. And Tony Gwynn got his 3,000th hit in there.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, and for as glorious as Game 1 between the Spurs and Thunder was, so they can't play best of 9, huh? We ended after 7. Boy, that was a fun series. Boy, was that a fun series. All right.
Better team won. I think Montreal was the better team throughout the series. Unfortunately for Buffalo, their best 2 games were they were better last night than they were in games that they won early in the series. They played a great hockey game last night. They just lost.
So let me get this straight. This is the second Game 7 in a row where Montreal on the road gets outplayed and wins, and the same guy who won Game 7 against Tampa wins Game 7 against Buffalo.
Bingo. Welcome back, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. New affiliate. Way out of our range. We're loving it. This is in your country, David.
Yes, it is.
In the Northeast. A reminder to anybody listening, the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line is always open. We'd love to hear from you. 21,000 is the number. If you've never texted the show before, you need to text the keyword Miller to 21,000, and then you can let it rip with your comments, anything you'd like to talk about, anything you'd like to add. Pelican Roofing of Florida commercial, residential, 1-866-9-PELICAN, 1-866-9-PELICAN. For those of you in the Sunshine State, probably worth giving them a call because you know what season's right around the corner.
I think the NHL was quietly rooting for Buffalo for the U.S. television ratings, although the folks in Buffalo seem to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, whether their team is in it or not, because, well, they've been watching a lot the last 15 years and their team wasn't in it at all.
Right. You know, it's funny you say that because normally I would agree with that, but your point is valid that Buffalo watches. And I don't know, you know, this isn't Edmonton. This isn't Winnipeg. This isn't Vancouver. This is the New York Yankees of the sport. This is the most historic team in the sport. This is the winningest team in the sport. And I don't know what will do better ratings-wise, and we'll never know. It's a guess. Buffalo versus Carolina or Les Habitants against Carolina. I mean, the scene in Montreal and Buffalo is equally great. I don't know if that history does anything to get eyeballs of someone, you know, that's our age or older, David, that remembers when the Montreal Canadiens were in this position seemingly every year.
Well, they are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs north of the border. Not everybody, because the Canadians are a love-hate franchise, but there's a couple of things going on here. First off, Montreal's been the only team north of the border that's been playing for a while now in these playoffs. And secondly, it's been 33 years since a Canadian team has won the Cup. And I know even a few Leafs fans who are like, you know, can we just get the Cup back? Okay, please. I'm tired of this. Even if it's in Montreal, I'd even settle for Montreal winning it once just to get the damn Cup back.
Buffalo, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What I'm about to say to you hurts. But I will say at one point when Sean McDonough brought up that they were 1-6, now 1-7 all time in game sevens. He went Scott Norwood during the broadcast. He brought up the football team and a missed field goal. That had to be a kick in the shorts, man. I'm telling you, as I was watching that, I went, oh, I mean, that's something I'd say. Damn, Sean, that's strong right there to have to go there.
That's over 35 years ago. That was January of 91. Right. That's the H.W. Bush presidency.
But David, I bring it up because I think that that's passed through just someone being 45 or older remembering it, if you know what I mean. I think that's something that at Thanksgiving at tables in and around Buffalo, they start talking about football, and inevitably a drunk uncle says, you know, if we'd have just made that damn kick. Did I tell you where I was when Norwood missed that kick? I think that's the opposite of a story of legend, but a story that's repeated in that area, that everybody's aware of it, if you know what I mean.
And I wonder how much the 13-second story either replaces it or adds on to it.
It adds on to it. See, it replaces it if you would have won in those last 13 seconds. When you lose, it's just Brett Hull's foot in the crease. He brought that up.
It's, yeah. Yeah.
And what happens last night? You 2-2 game, a big heavy shot comes in. Wes McCauley, who's regarded as one of the best officials in the game, got his start in the ECHL, by the way, David. And he blows a quick whistle.
Puck's loose. Buffalo's going to score.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep. Hey, I know Vasilevsky doesn't want to hear it, but you and I believe there's this thing called puck luck. Okay? And sometimes you have it. Usually when you go on a playoff run, you have it. Okay? Bounces, calls, guy missing a wide open net in a tie game late, and you end up winning later. All right? It happens. And right now, when you're playing the Canadiens, you've got to think in a close game, they've got the puck luck.
I have to ask this question of our audience, 21,000 again, the text line, because I know you guys like this stuff. Who, in your opinion, or what, in your opinion, is the unluckiest city in sports?
Oh, boy.
Let's have some fun on a Tuesday.
Oh, boy.
At the expense of others.
Oh, boy.
Since we know Buffalo is now 1-7, their hockey team in Game 7s, and we all know the history of the Buffalo Bills. For a two-sport town, is there worse luck than what's happened to Buffalo? Because being bad isn't being unlucky. That's just being mismanaged.
So a bunch of friends of mine from my days in Fargo are from the upper Midwest, Minnesota and the Dakotas. And so when the Wild got beat by the Avs and collapsing the way they did at the end of Game 5 and losing in overtime, there's a meme going around, and it's the state of Minnesota. And inside the state of Minnesota is the Lombardi Trophy and the Stanley Cup. And at the very top in the northern regions of the state, it simply reads the letter B, the number 4, the letter I, die. And that's where they are. Can we win one of these before my time is up? Because they're 0 for ever.
Yeah, I'll wipe my eye with my Homer hanky as I cry.
Still bitter about 87, are you?
Well, I'm just talking about some of the, I mean, that year, and I don't know, they have the best win in world, one of the best games in World Series history. Who won that game?
Oh, it'd be the Twins in 91. Yep.
So I'll put Buffalo ahead of Minnesota. I'll give Buffalo the edge. They've experienced the highest joy. Yes, they've experienced pain, but the last time their hockey team played for the Stanley Cup, weren't they named the North Stars?
In 1991, Mark.
Right. So,
yes.
I mean, you have to get there to be unlucky. You blew the game against Colorado. Vikings, it's been a long time since you've been in that final game.
Yes. As a matter of fact, trying to think, where is it Ford's last days or had Carter just taken over? Yeah. It was a while ago.
Miller and Moulton, what's the unluckiest city out there? The starting five is next.
Do you have a sleep problem but don't want to wear a CPAP mask? This is Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. The mask wasn't working for me, and I didn't think I had an alternative. I do. We all do. They have such simple alternatives with greater success than the mask. Visit sleeptreatmentdirect.com. That's sleeptreatmentdirect.com. And if you are like me and your CPAP machine isn't working for you, it's time for a change. Call 239-444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I will say, I think there is a huge difference between unlucky and mismanaged. You know, people are texting in Miami. Someone said it in here, Miami. I don't believe Miami's unlucky. I believe Miami is run poorly. Not to mention, it is the city with an undefeated Super Bowl championship team. The baseball team's won a World Series. It's one of 5 cities that have won multiple titles in every sport. That's not unlucky. The Vikings are unlucky, DC. I will give you that. Ah, look at you, Mac. I love it.
So what do we have? Buffalo, Cleveland, Minneapolis. Who else makes the survey?
I don't know. I think you're.
I mean, now that San Diego's a one-team city, do you put them on it?
No. I mean, they're unlucky because their team moved. But they've got, it is one of the, best climates in the world. I'll take their weather and you can have their sports teams. You can quit watching sports in San Diego and be pretty happy.
Yes. You can't say Toronto. The Raptors won a title 7 years ago. The Jays.
The Argonauts are unbelievable. I don't know that. I just wanted to say Argonauts. I have no idea when their last Grey Cup was. Yeah, you saw dud, Shimko. You didn't even see a good game. That's the bad part. At least if you're, the home, the Rays scored all kinds of runs. I mean, I guess the home team ones. How many were there? Was it, 5,000, 6,000?
$8,672.
And we thank you.
Excuse me.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. And Mark wants to go the misery route today. Here we were talking about the glory that was our two playoff games, both going overtime. One series was tremendous. Another series is off to an amazing start. And by the way, welcome back, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. And Mark Miller wants to go the misery index.
Well, misery loves company, David. And I don't want Buffalo and Buffalo's fans to feel badly all by themselves. I don't think it's very fair to those Sabre and Bill fans out there. I think that what they need is a hug right now, David. They need a hug. 1-7 in game sevens.
Right. And we all know what the Bills' record is in Super Bowls.
Don't even want to say things like the Music City Miracle. I mean, I don't want to pile on, David.
13 seconds. No, I got you.
Foot in the creek, you know.
Right. Here's my question. Buffalo is a two-team city. Cleveland is a three-team city. Minneapolis is a four-team city. Buffalo has never won a major sports championship unless you're going to count the Bills in the early 60s and the AFL.
I will say in non-major sports, they're tremendous.
Oh, my goodness.
Lacrosse, when indoor hockey was played, I mean, and I remember, because I worked in Roller Hockey International 30 years ago, they packed the place. They won a title, and people showed, tens of thousands showed up at the Odd to watch roller hockey. That's how desperate they are for a winner and how good of a sports city it is.
The Browns have never been to the Super Bowl, never mind won it. The Indians/Guardians have not won the World Series since the Truman administration. However, the Cavs won a title last decade. Does that disqualify Cleveland?
Yeah, a little bit. The problem is the two franchises that have been there forever haven't won. And
correct.
They'd give back 10 Cav titles for one in the other sports.
I think they'd give the Cavs title back just to have the Browns go to the Super Bowl. Not even win it, just go. Just chop that barrier down. Get off the list of the franchises who have never been. I think there's a handful of teams. They want off the list. And Minneapolis, well, you got the Twins, 2 titles in 5 years. That was 87 and 91. The Vikings haven't been to the game in 50 years. Super Bowl 11, last time they were in the big game. The Super Bowl this coming season is 61.
Ouch.
Yep.
So you're saying it's been a while.
Saying it's been a while. 18 minutes before the hour. Time now for
the starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
They say there's nothing better than a game 7. How about one that goes overtime? Montreal does it again. Alex Newhook, who scored to beat the Lightning 2 weeks ago, 2-1 in game 7. He scored in overtime to end Buffalo season. 3-2 Les Habitants in overtime. Montreal, a remarkable 6-2 on the road in the playoffs. So the conference finals in the NHL are set. Tomorrow night in Colorado, 8 o'clock, ESPN, Las Vegas, and the Avalanche. Then Thursday night in Carolina, TNT, 8 o'clock, Montreal and Carolina. For what it's worth, the two home teams, Colorado's 8-1 in the playoffs, Carolina's 8-0. Carolina has not played in 12 days when they finally step on the ice. Just saying. NBA, Game 1, Western Conference Final. Take 5-6 more of these. 2 overtimes they go. OKC with the fourth quarter rally to force overtime. And Wembanyama, 41 points, 24 rebounds. The Spurs won the glass by 21. It's tough to out-rebound OKC, period. Never mind beat them on the glass by 21. Spurs 122-115. They win game 1 in double OT. Game 2 coming up Wednesday night. Meanwhile, tonight, the Eastern Conference Finals get underway. Knicks 7.5-point favorites against Cleveland. 8 o'clock ESPN. How much do the Cavs have in the tank for game 1 after playing back-to-back 7-game series, and they had no rest going from one series to the other? And they get no rest going from last series to this one. Or are they primed and ready to go? And the Knicks, who haven't played since May 10th, will they be rusty, and will they have lost the groove that they had when they were playing the best basketball that the franchise has played in over 50 years? Game 1 tonight, Madison Square. Baseball. Man, we had some runs scored last night.
Did we ever?
The Rays with 5 in the second, 4 in the fifth, 4 in the sixth. Yandy Diaz and Junior Caminero, each with 4 RBIs. Tampa Bay beat Baltimore 16-6. That's to make up for that extra inning game when the Marlins scored 10. This is a run differential game, Mark, just to try to make things look a little better. The Yankees scored 4 in the seventh. They got Jazz Chisholm and Clay Bellinger to each hit 2-run homers in the seventh. It's a rally to beat Toronto 7-6. Rays still lead the East by 3. Boy, the Red Sox are nothing if consistent. They can't score runs. Yet they're managing to win a few more games than you think. Their 9th straight game of scoring 3 runs or less, but they beat Kansas City 3-1. Marlins whoop up on the Braves, 5 in the fourth, 6 in the fifth. Javier Sonoya with a grand slam. Miami, before about 8,600, beat the Braves 12-0. The Phillies rally in the 8th. Byron Stott, a 2-run homer. They've won 5 in a row. They beat the Reds 5-4. The Nats left 19 on base. You know that's coming back to haunt you. They had plenty of chances to beat the Mets in regulation. Mets ended up scoring 10 runs in the 12th to beat Washington 16-7. Jose Ramirez with a homer and 3 RBIs. The Tigers have lost 6 of 7. Cleveland beat Detroit 8-2. White Sox are still above 500 despite losing in Seattle 6-1. Their hotshot prospect, Colt Emerson, he got his first hit in the majors. It was a 3-run homer. Also snaps the 3-game skid for the Mariners. Josh Bell with 2 homers. The Twins, after a 2-hour rain delay, beat the Astros 6-3. So JT Ginn, Mark, has a no-no through 8. He's in Anaheim. He's protecting a 1-0 lead. He gives up a leadoff single in the 9th. And the next batter, Zach Neto, hits a 2-run homer over the center field wall. Ginn loses everything. The no-no, the shutout, and the game. Angels 2-1. The first place A's fall below 500. Unreal. Brewers beat the Cubs 9-3. Jake Bauers with a homer and 4 RBIs. The Brew Crew just a half a game behind the Cubbies for first place in the Central. Miguel Andujar homered. He was the second batter of the game for the Padres. Yeah, that was it. Nobody else scored. San Diego beats Yamamoto in Los Angeles 1-0 to move back into first in the West. Nolan Arenado with a first-inning grand slam. Arizona's played their way back to 500 with a 12-2 win over the Giants. And finally, the Rockies beat the Rangers 7-6. But it may be more painful than that for Texas. Their starting pitcher, Mackenzie Gore, left after just an inning with an apparent arm injury. Oh, boy. Speaking of injuries, the Dodgers. Tyler Glasnow, they were hoping it'd be a short stint on IL. Well, it's going to be longer. He had a setback with his back. It locked up on him. Tough to pitch that way. And Mark, Blake Snell's going to have the same surgery that Skubal just had. So, August?
Yeah, Skubal's already throwing bullpen sessions 2 weeks after the surgery, which is good news for Detroit fans. But
Right. But so we'll see with Blake Snell. Can he make it back after the All-Star break, or is it a little later than that? NFL was being talked about yesterday. Apparently, these two things will be made official today. Nashville is going to be awarded the 2029 Super Bowl, meaning the 2029 season, February 2030. So the next 4 Super Bowls, including this year, are LA, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Nashville. How about that, Mark? LA and Vegas, Atlanta and Nashville. Huh. And Minneapolis today is going to be awarded the 2028 draft. Next year's draft's in D.C. The following year will be in Minneapolis. And the story that broke late in our show yesterday, Urban Meyer loses his grievance against the Jags. They fired him, they said, with cause. Got to admit, the cause seemed to be he was a lousy coach. Usually that doesn't get you out of your contract. Somehow, some way, they were managed to argue before an arbitrator and win. So the Jags just saved $30 million yesterday. One under the note, Mark, NBA. Jamal Mosley was not out of work long. Magic fired him when they lost in 7 to Detroit. 2 weeks later, the New Orleans Pelicans hired him, gave him a 5-year deal. I mean, he did make the playoffs 3 years in a row with the Magic. He just lost a couple of game 7s along the way and had his star players hate him. But we'll see how it goes in New Orleans. And at 9 minutes before the hour, that was starting 5 big stories you needed to know here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, I have a poll question up, David.
Okay.
I did it. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself, but I'm trying to help the folks of Buffalo out. It may backfire on me.
Right.
Which is the unluckiest city in sports? There are 3 that I picked from. There are plenty more that may have been close to the survey, but even David during the break said, I think these are the big 3. Buffalo, Cleveland, Minneapolis.
Boy, you went unluckiest. That really brings Cleveland into play, too.
Right.
Lot of stories with the Cleveland sports teams.
Exactly. And I voted Buffalo because I can recite so many of them. And the game 7 record, you throw that in there. And then obviously not just Super Bowl losses for the Bills, but legendary losses in the postseason. I mean, 13 seconds in the Music City Miracle. You say those, everybody knows exactly what you're talking about in football circles. Everybody.
And they lost them both.
Yes, they did. That Mark Miller, Miller_Moulton on X to vote. If you're in the chat room, you just need to type a number, 1, 2, or 3, as they're listed on the page. We will talk NBA with Keith Smith today. I apologize, Keith. The NBA front office show. He'll join us next hour. Dr. Anthony Bradley will join us at 8 a.m. We will talk about a subject that we've talked a lot about in this show, the NCAA and money. And also, Greg Wyshynski will recap a Game 7 and get us ready for the conference finals. All ahead, Miller and Moulton.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
The
sound.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
No!
This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio, with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes alive.
This is Miller and Moulton.
They could, and I mean, you could nominate Montreal. It's been since '93 for the Habs, and they lost the Expos. But that would mean I cared about Montreal. And since I do the polls, I omitted them. San Diego, I guess the same thing. The Padres have never won, and they lost the Chargers. So I got you. We mentioned San Diego. JB, I like to say thanks for sharing. I don't know if that was necessary. Just having a little fun, JB. It's just not it's not a very uplifting story.
DC, most ever won a ring.
KG's 50 today.
I'll bet you he could still.
He does. I mean, you see those podcasts. He don't look 50.
Uh-uh.
All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Well, Mark, I'd like to thank you because my phone's blowing up.
Good. Glad I could help. Hope it does. Hope the people that listen to the podcast continue to text you all the way until about 7:30 this evening.
Feel free to chime into the text line, the chat room. Don't just send it to, my personal number. Feel free to let Mark know how you feel as well.
You can always text the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line at 21,000 if you need David's personal number. 21,000 is the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. The keyword is Miller if you've never texted the show before. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Download anything you missed at millerandmoulton.com.
Hold on a second. I thought the rule was when we did sales full time that we were both free to give out the other guy's phone number.
Right.
But now you're just going to give it out just because?
You know what? Text sponsor to 21,000 and I'll give you David's number.
Well played, sir. Well played.
David, I'm going to hit you with something here that you are better at than I am. But this pisses me off.
Okay.
This seems like an excuse. This seems like we are using the system to get what we want. And I hate that.
All right.
And David, you are much kinder than I am when it comes to mental health problems. Not that I'm bad, but you just are very sympathetic towards that, given the fact that it's been around you because it's where you have family members that work. So you just have more knowledge than I ever will. You truly do. But I'm guessing you saw this, that the Texas Tech quarterback, Sorsby, is now suing the NCAA for eligibility.
Right.
After admitting that he gambled on everything from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest to like Turkish sports.
Right.
I mean, he bet on everything.
If it moved, all right, in the 2020s, he bet on it.
Right. And he bet on college football. And
Right.
he bet on quite a bit of college football from the way the reports go. Therefore, by the NCAA's rules, which, come on, are paper thin, and they get beat every time they're challenged, and I'm very fearful they're going to get beat again here. But if you bet on college football, it's pretty simple, particularly with the amount of money that he apparently bet on college football. You're done. You're ineligible. Now, he may still be ruled ineligible, but because he has a gambling addiction, they're deeming it a mental health problem. And therefore, because he's seeking counseling, he should be eligible to play football.
Yeah, well, I think that's crap.
Thank you.
And you're right. Okay. I mean, my wife's a therapist and a social worker, and my daughter, our only child, is following the same path. So, be guaranteed there'll be no money. Okay. Not just in my family, but, the next generation as well. But in all seriousness, no, that's garbage. But quite frankly, and I mean this sincerely, even if he gets a court, in my opinion, if he gets a court to agree with him, Mark, to me, here's his problem. Didn't he spend a year at Indiana where he played like one game? He bet on Indiana football while he was at Indiana. That's got to be an eliminator. He's done. Okay. He's done. Okay. I got to admit, if I was him, I would move on already. I would get eligible for the supplemental draft in the NFL and hope that somebody drafts you and brings you into camp. Honestly, I would move on already. Mark, I don't see, for as much of a long shot as I think the mental health angle is, you tell me how you can be a member of a team and bet on that team's games while you're a member of that team and retain your eligibility, pro or college. You're done, right?
Yes.
So I don't see where he's got a chance. To
Well-
me, I would even say to him, we win the mental health thing. What do we do about you at Indiana? You bet while you were there. You admitted you bet on Indiana while you were at Indiana.
So it's really simple why he's doing it. Guys in the supplemental draft don't get $5 million a year.
Nope.
That's what Texas Tech's paying him. That's the guess. Between 4 and 6, we'll just split the difference. He made $1 million last year playing football for Cincinnati. They're suing him for their money back. He is claiming that the NCAA ignores athlete welfare while profiting from gambling ties. He notes no integrity issues from his wagers, even though we just pointed out when you're playing for Indiana and you're betting on, wait for it, Indiana, that seems to be an integrity issue. I will say, David, and I know people who have bet table tennis in the morning just because. He apparently has bet on the Turkish Basketball League, Romanian soccer games, obscure doubles tennis matches, and of course, the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest.
Outstanding. I mean, that's good work right there. I mean, that's a problem gambler. I mean, that's we can hold you on the short list. We can bring you up at meetings. All right. But in all seriousness, you're done. Now, I just had a buddy of mine text me and said he's not suing to get his eligibility back. He's suing to get some of his money. That if he can, win, that Texas Tech has to pay him some of the money they owe him, whatever. I just.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm reading something differently because it simply says the Texas Tech quarterback filed a lawsuit Monday in Lubbock against the NCAA seeking immediate eligibility for 2026.
Wow. Well,
now someone's saying, well, he didn't bet on Indiana. He didn't play when he bet on Indiana. Do you not think he had inside information being on the football team?
Yeah, you can't be on the team. You can't be in the team picture and bet on that team. I mean, first off, the NCAA rules are you can't be in the Indiana team picture and bet on the Purdue game. Okay, but you certainly can't bet on the Indiana game.
In his court filings, his lawyers claim that he bet on Indiana football in 22 to feel more, and I quote, connected with the team.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So
I mean, this is a crock. This is where people like me have a problem when we use the mental health card for our gambling addiction. Sorry, I ain't buying it. And it's going to cause me to think disparagingly towards someone who actually should be able to use it. This is the same guy, in my opinion, that has his Chihuahua as a service dog so he doesn't have to pay $100 to get him on the flight with him.
Right.
It's the same damn thing. You're gaming the system.
I'm totally with you. I mean, to me, I think if it reached a judge's desk yesterday, they could have dismissed it yesterday.
Yeah, here's the problem. Where did he file the claim? Lubbock. Where's Texas Tech located? Lubbock.
Okay. If I'm the president of Texas Tech University, I don't want him to win this because I can't have a future gambling addict, at my school involved in athletics either. Seriously, the AD may want him, the football coach may want him, the big money booster may want him. If I'm the president of the university, I'm like, oh, please, I got to find out who the judge is that's getting this. I got to make an inappropriate phone call. Please don't side with this. This is crap. Okay, I got to run into him at the country club and just walk by his stable and bring up idle conversation. I'm sorry.
Get his phone when he's on the road if he wins, because as of this point in time, sports gambling's still illegal in Texas. No bets on what happens, when he goes on the road.
Right.
So this is one of those issues, David, that I saw this and I'm like, I know David's going to be on my side, but he also now knows when there's a case that he wants me to be on his side, I may not be because of situations like this. And I don't think I'm alone when I say that, David. This is gaming the system. This bothers me. This bothers me that the lawyers are taking the case. And David, I know what you're saying. The Texas Tech president doesn't want this. Come on. He's your $5 million quarterback. The people at Texas Tech are obviously behind this lawsuit. They're the ones paying for the lawyers.
Well, there's no doubt, Mark, because quite frankly, if he was on that team was viewed as better than last year's team, and last year's team just lost their two best defensive linemen. So here's my question as to why I guess it could get complicated. Do we consider someone being an alcoholic as having a mental health problem? Now, for whatever reason, I don't. I think it's something different. Don't ask me to say what that is at this moment. I'll think of it during the break. But that'll be his argument. If you agree that this struggle and this struggle and this struggle is a mental health issue, then how can you not see gambling as a mental health issue?
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. NBA Talk with Keith Smith coming up in 25 minutes' time. Thanks for listening.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Puck, I don't know how deep I want to get into this, but I do just want to throw this out there. Puck, if you're going to let him get off as a mental health problem, then what's your explanation if I kill you? Seriously.
Well, and I
Can
mean,
I just-
what if I say I have a sex addiction and we have sexual assault? Is that then mental health? I mean, how far do we get to take
Right.
it?
The slippery slope here is staggeringly dangerous. I mean, is all behavior mental health? Or can it, instead of it being a mental health problem, can it just be a behavioral issue? Puck, I should be a drunk, a raging drunk. You should see the alcohol consumption at just about every single person in my family for generations. I don't have a drinking problem. I had about 60 days when I was going through my first divorce in which I was drinking excessively. That's about it. I mean, now see, I find that very layered and very interesting. You agree it's an illness. I'll grant you that too. But you say it's a malady of sorts combined with an obsession.
It's a lot of big words.
I understand.
Well,
Can
no,
I ask?
I'm just adding for me. You can answer. I'm just letting you know.
Boy,
You've
you got this self-deprecating thing going on today really well.
No, you just lost me with those words. When I gotta look crap up during the break, that's not when did Buffalo last win at this? I'm in trouble. That's all. All right. I love it when the first hour is already up. That's fantastic.
But to the gentleman who says he's an alcoholic, do you consider it a mental health problem? Yes or no? And obviously, there's no wrong answer. I'm asking you your opinion about your affliction. I'm just curious. Okay. I need you to humor me, iHeart. Yes or no? Do you consider your alcoholism a mental health problem? Okay. Yeah, I think it's behavioral. I think it's caused by a couple of things, but I think it's behavioral. But iHeart, I really appreciate your honesty and your contributions there. Thank you.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. You know, this has been an interesting show today. We've gotten into the sports cities that have had the most misery, coming off Buffalo losing a game 7 last night in hockey. We all know the Bills and their resume. What are the Sabres now all time? They've been playing hockey about 55 years.
They're 1-7 in game sevens.
And there's never a game 8 or 9, right?
No, not since the aughts in baseball, David. I think they did some best of 9s. I think they did them in the teens and 20s. I just wanted to get the aughts in.
We have to go Montreal Maroons, don't we?
Well, they were, hockey, they were doing best of 3s and best of 5s. Baseball went back. Think about it. We never go with less, if you know what I mean.
Right.
We add. We're not going from 17 games in the NFL back to 16. We're going from 17 games to 18. We went from 154 in baseball to 162. Now, do I think there should be, around 146 regular season games? I do. I think we play too many in all sports. What's the NHL doing next year, David? They're adding 2 because the schedule work better, supposedly.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Whatever. That's what we need is 2 more regular season games.
Yeah, we need to play regular season hockey in September, for goodness sakes. Come on. And you're talking to two puckheads who love the sport, but even we go X-nay on the 84A.
I mean, the NCAA tournament just went to 76. Football's going to 16 and then 24 at some point. But baseball used to have best of 9 World Series.
Right.
For
In fact,
a decent amount of time.
was it the Black Sox scandal? Didn't that World Series go 8? Okay, and what was a best of 9? I thought it wrapped up in 8.
You'd have to reference a story you wrote about that.
Man, you are on fire today. On fire. So we went from what city and fan bases have gone through the most misery. Pretty uplifting, wouldn't you say? Coming off of 2 spectacular playoff games last night, one in hockey, one in hoop. We go right to the misery. So then Mark Miller brings up a very compelling story, which got more compelling because the guy with the gambling problem who wanted to be the quarterback at Texas Tech is suing, saying, well, the reason I have a gambling problem is that I got a mental health affliction. That's why, this is just like an alcohol problem or you name it problem. And Miller and Moulton are like, that's bunk. And on top of it, you were on the Indiana football team and gambled on Indiana games, even if it is ruled a mental health problem, that crosses the line there. You're out. You're done. So we'll see what happens. But it got us into quite a serious discussion. I have no idea if the text line got into this or not, but the chat room went bat blank crazy about whether or not the gambling problem is a mental health problem. Therefore, is alcoholism a mental health problem? Is a drug problem a mental health? I mean, wow, it got serious fast.
It got deep in a hurry.
Yeah.
And we like to cannonball into the deep end on a lot of issues. And I'm going, do I need to pull the reins in on this? Because I've got the history of best of 9 series and I'm ready to give it at any point.
Mark's like, hey, Moulton, you take the cannonball this time. I'm working on other things. I'll be ready when we go live. You handle the break in the chat room.
Let me give you this text. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. By the way, we are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks for listening. The text line is 21,000. The keyword's Miller because it's easier to spell than how David spells his last name. Text Miller to 21,000, and then we'll take your opinions on any damn thing you want. But this guy says the difference is origin. Mental health is impacted from external forces, not from what we do to ourselves. While alcohol may cause a mental health issues, alcoholism doesn't originate from said issues. Tendency or traits can continue to degenerate gambling, but doesn't exist separate to it. Okay. I mean, look I'm not going to tell anybody today there's opinions wrong. My whole point is here's a guy that's gambled and pissed away a bunch of money and now stands a chance to make $5 million being the quarterback at Texas Tech. And they're suing the NCAA. David, quick question for you. When you sue the NCAA, what happens? I don't know, 90% of the time, maybe more.
Oh, you win, Mark.
You win, David. We've been pointing it out for, hell, at least 10 years on this show.
Ed O'Bannon, 2009. It's a 17-year track record where I'd say the winning percentage against the NCAA is at least 93%.
And now Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback at Texas Tech, who was at Cincinnati, all of the sudden entered a rehab program for gambling a month ago. And now he is suing the NCAA for immediate eligibility. And Texas Tech doing this maybe in part because they want to adjudicate this case very quickly so they know they may have to shift at the quarterback position if they lose.
By the way, how do you find a quarterback in June or July?
I can't help you there.
I'll hang up and listen. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, where are they going to go find somebody worth a damn if they don't have a backup worth a damn? And the word is they don't.
Yeah, that's a thin position. I mean, we went through the starting lineups of Ohio State a few weeks ago. It's thin beyond your starters at major college football in the transfer portal world.
Well, also, the transfer portal's closed.
Right.
I mean, unless you entered your name in the portal, you can transfer at any time, but you had to have entered your name in the portal. Curious how many quarterbacks entered their name in the portal and didn't transfer.
Now, David, someone did text, and I think it's been brought up in our chat room as well. Addiction is officially classified as a mental health with this substance abuse disorder. And he says, now is gambling a substance? And that may be the whole crux of the case here. And that's what Sorsby's lawyers are going to fight in court. This then means gambling. If he wins, why shouldn't every player bet as much as they want whenever they want and just claim mental health? I don't buy it. I don't like it. I think it stinks to high heaven. And for those that have suffered through addiction problems and have family members that have done it, if I'm pissing you off, I'm sorry. I truly am. I think this is a load of crap.
Well, actually, Mark, I think you're on their side. Okay, you're saying that what they and their families went through was serious, and you don't think that this meets, the same criteria. I actually think you're standing up for those people and families for what it's worth. I'll say it again. Listen, I hate the NCAA. I'd blow it up and start over. I don't know who their lawyers are. I don't see how they lose this. First off, I think they could win it on the mental health grounds. But even if they lose it, he was at Indiana and he gambled on Indiana football. That's it. It's over. It's over. Period. End of sentence. I'm sorry. It's over.
And David, I would probably be the first to admit that I have a gambling problem. Now, I've corrected it. So maybe I don't have that thing in my brain that makes me never quit. But I got on a run, had to go borrow money to pay the bookie. It was pay the piper time, and I didn't have it, and I chased. Now, when I make bets, I make a big bet for me now is $10 once in a while, $15 on a horse race, 5 across the board. I'm going nuts. I love my wife more than I love gambling. It's very simple for me. If I were to lose all of our money, she would leave me and take my child with her. I'm not willing to do that. Now, does that mean I have an off button that others don't? Maybe it does. Because I like my booze, too. I like a few other things. Hell, I like it all. It's fun. But I have a shutoff valve. Some people don't. I get it. Keith Smith, NBA, and a Great Western Conference Game 1 to talk about next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floor Meisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floor Meisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Too bad you got 3 guests. This is a theme show right here. We could run on this sucker for 4 or 5. We could do a week on this. And I got singing cats.
I'm probably going to end with Keith a minute or so early because I want to try to set up the 8 o'clock guest because it is a little unusual.
I mean, the cat has not stopped making noise this entire break.
Oh, I can't hear it.
Thank goodness. Good microphone. Pointed in the right direction. Because I can hear it.
Is there a reason for that, or is it the subject matter?
It's having a mental health crisis.
Set you up.
You did. Thank you. The cat has Bednar. Brenda Moore's hair is not in Bednar's league. Stu Grimson, who's done a couple of games for the Wings as a color commentator, Stu Grimson has his hair's on the line of Bednar's. That's good hair.
Yeah, there's nobody salad that compares to Bednar.
Bedsy, in one, he's a good-looking guy to begin with, and then he's got one of the best salads in the league. That's top notch. Exactly, iHeart. That's what I'm talking about. The cat has a pet mouse that it plays fetch with. It has brought the mouse up to the studio during the show and meowed at me, basically saying, "Could you throw this to me?" But it doesn't bring it far enough for me to throw it while I'm doing it. I have to get up, and I don't.
Right.
He's gotten a commercial break out of me before. The stairs go, up and back. I try to bounce it off the wall and get it to go all the way down the stairs. I don't have no, I don't, because I don't.
Whoa, come on, Leftwicks. We said we don't do politics on this show. Come on.
What I'd like to do is have enough money to get that. There's an app out there that'll allow you to make every trade. You pick Nancy Pelosi. Every time she makes a trade, you make the same trade. The technology actually exists.
Wow. We have to do Trump's trades.
Well, yeah, no, I'm just, it doesn't matter. I don't know if you can do the president. I don't know if it's just members of Congress, but I know that exists.
Because that's some money. But we don't go there. Well, Enzo, a lot of shows have crossed over. We thought it would hurt our audience, our ratings. But a lot of other shows have done it and gained audience. Empire, I would capitalize all.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Dr. Anthony Bradley, he's an academic. He went public yesterday and said colleges and states are going broke. It's time you all start paying attention. And we know the reason why. So we brought him on to talk about it, get the academic point of view for a few minutes here on Miller and Moulton. Keith Smith covers the NBA for a living. He's a contributor to both the NBA Front Office Show on YouTube and to Spot Rack. You can follow him on X at Keith Smith NBA. Keith Smith NBA. Keith, David, and Mark again, thanks for your time. When Charles Barkley looked at Shaq on set last week and said, "You're the most athletic big fella in the history of the league, but this guy in San Antonio is more athletic than you," that caught our attention in a big way. And then he goes out and does what he did last night, and he's 22 years old. I mean, Keith, I ask this, and I'm very serious when we ask it. Have we ever seen anything like this before?
No, absolutely not. This is Victor Wembanyama is a one of one. He is something that we have never seen before. The size, skill, athleticism combination is just unbelievable. The closest thing that I can remember, and I'm going way back to when I was a little guy, was when all the things we heard about Arvydas Sabonis before he came to the U.S. Similar size, similar skill package, similar athleticism. But by the time we finally saw him play in the United States, he had been broken down. He had years and years of leg injuries and overuse and returned too soon. But Wembanyama is like, and I don't say this lightly, if this continues, we're going to be having conversations about him as the greatest basketball player we've ever seen.
Well, I think you're onto something, Keith. And the one thing that, jokingly, I'll say, we basically can get rid of the Defensive Player of the Year award as long as he plays in the limited number of games required to get an award, because skip the 41, and I don't know how many of the 24 rebounds were offensive. The difference in the shooting percentage of Oklahoma City when he is on the floor versus when he is not is one of the most ridiculous stats I've ever seen, Keith. He affects, I don't know if a player's ever affected another team's shooting quite the way he does. Is there anybody? There's no one else like this defensively, ever.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. It's incredible. And I counted I stopped counting in the overtime periods because I just was, just at that point I was just settled in and enjoying the craziness. But in the regulation, I counted over 25 times that guys came into the paint from the Thunder and would have taken a shot that they normally would have taken, and they passed out of it. They kept their dribble alive. They picked up the ball and went a different direction. And that's just, there's no stats for that really, because it doesn't show up in any other way. But it's just, he just wrecks your offense. I call him the destroyer of worlds because that's what he does. He's just, so tough to deal with that you're good luck figuring something out.
Yeah, we probably have to go back to Wilt, maybe Russell, and the game was played differently than the last time that somebody was that intimidating within 10 or so feet of the basket. We're talking NBA with Keith Smith. All right. He and they were good enough to win game one, but I don't know if he's going to go for 41 and 24 every game. Is the supporting cast good enough to take down the defending champs?
I think so, because the thing that we, wasn't being talked a lot about last night as it was going down is De'Aaron Fox didn't play. And you saw a lot of moments where they missed De'Aaron Fox big time, especially as things got tight in the fourth quarter, got tight in the overtime period. Yes, they were able to win, but there were times when possessions just went nowhere. It was taking them sometimes 20 seconds of the shot clock to even get the ball to the guy they wanted, and then that guy was having to force up a heave. So it is, we're in a position where they can, because they're going to get him back presumably at some point in this series, and that should give them enough. Now, I will say this, because I'm glad you called it out. It still took double overtime. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played one of the worst games I've seen him play all season. The Thunder are also going to be better. So I'm still picking. I picked Thunder in 7 before the series. I'm still going to stay with Thunder in 7. But yeah, they've got their work cut out for them for sure.
After Cleveland and Detroit and the free throw disparity, it's kind of something I paid attention to. And last night the Spurs went to the line 10 more times. Is that because how much of that is Wembanyama? Because when you have that presence in the paint, if you like to drive and draw fouls, to me, you're not going to draw as many with the Wembanyama in the middle. Is that factual, or do you think OKC can get to the line more the rest of this series?
Yeah, there's two parts there. One, they were defending Wembanyama with smaller players a lot, and there were a lot of just give the foul to get everything reset here. So there was some of that. He clearly drew several fouls himself. And then they have their other guys, Castle and Harper, are so good at getting downhill. They're going to draw a lot of contact. But yeah, you're absolutely right too when you say like his presence, the Thunder played out of positions on the floor where normally they would have got it inside. It may have drawn a foul or two. I expect that'll probably come back around, because at some point it's like they always say, right, in football, when the other team has like a monster linebacker or defensive end, they always say, hey, running away from them doesn't really work. At some point you got to go right at them. And that's the way I expect to see in game 2. They're probably going to attack Wembanyama a little bit more, see if maybe they can get him in some foul trouble and see where it goes from there. But yeah, there's definitely they've got to even up that imbalance some.
A reminder, OKC last year had 2 7-game series, Denver and Indiana, and obviously they won them both on their way to the title. Okay, Knicks haven't played in 8+ days. Cavs haven't had any rest in over a month. Who has the advantage tonight? Just game 1. Who do you think has the advantage? The tired but sharper team or the rested but rusty team?
Yeah, I mean, this is rest versus rust right on display. And I wish I had a real answer for you. I tend to think what happens is advantage early will probably be Cavaliers, because the Knicks are going to have to kind of find their way into it, find their rhythm again as they play. I think as long as they don't get kind of blitzed early, the Knicks will be fine, because as we get deeper into the game, second half, especially the fourth quarter, I think then that's where the tired legs will come in for the Cavaliers.
All right. The Knicks have played these last 7 games at a level that most of us have never seen the Knicks play in our lifetimes. And I'm in my mid-50s. So let's just fast forward here for a second. How much like the last 7 games do the Knicks have to play to give either the Spurs or OKC a series?
Yeah, I think they can. I think if they obviously if they continue to play the way they did the last 7 games, as you called out, they'll be in that no matter what. I go back to kind of what you just said. The Thunder, they had 7-game series, and the Pacers, who most people were like, well, they're going to get, this run was fun, but they're going to now get their doors blown off by the Thunder. They were right there, and who knows if Halliburton didn't get hurt, what had happened. The other thing is, if the Knicks win this series, or if the Cavs, we'll give them credit too, they're going to face, I think, a team on the other side that had to put everything out on the floor to win Spurs Thunder. And if those series go long, there's only a couple days before the NBA Finals start. So I don't think people should just be discounting the Knicks and the Cavs at all, because it's they are. I think they both have really a chance here to do something special.
All right. You said before the Western Conference Finals started, you picked OKC in 7. Knicks Cavs begin tonight. How do you see it?
Yeah, I'm picking Knicks in 7, only because I'm wish casting a little bit here. When we get down to this point in the season, there's only 21 total games left possible, and I want all of them that I can get, because it's the season's ending. I'm going to miss it when it does. But I'll say I'm picking that, but I am closer to Knicks in 5. This Cavs team, there's times when it just looks like, what are we doing here? They should not have had as much trouble in either of their 2 series to put away the Raptors and Pistons as they did with the talent level that they have. That I think if the Knicks come in focused like they've been, and I think the Knicks also, if they can get these first couple games at home, I think they're going to be locked in on, hey, let's dig in. Let's go home, put our feet up, and watch, the Spurs and Thunder beat the, crap out of each other until we start the finals. So I'm closer to Knicks in 5, but I'm picking Knicks in 7, because I think the Cavs maybe do have a couple things they can go to make it a really close series.
At least on our show, Keith, the NBA has a generational problem. The old people don't like it as much as they used to like the NBA. I honestly believe San Antonio OKC can be good enough to win back fans. Now, I know that the numbers are good. I know the TV contracts are solid. I get that. How important is this Western Conference final from a maybe credibility standpoint for the league?
Yeah, massive, because what they can do is market, stars, like legit superstars, and Wembanyama and SGA. And they can also sell, like, hey, these are 2 of the smallest markets in the league, and here they are, doing their thing. And then on top of it, if you get, as much as I would love it, we're probably not getting more double overtime, hoops like we did last night. But if you can get good, close, compelling games, it's going to be, really, really important. And then I'll add to that, these games are on NBC, so everybody can see them. Nobody should have any trouble seeing these games, having any trouble finding them or anything like that. So that's also huge, because you get a lot of eyeballs. And then on the other side, you have the biggest city in the country, with one of the largest fan bases in the world, going in there that, they're going to be watching. And I think that'll be, compelling games as well. So I think this is a real chance for the NBA to, win back some of that goodwill.
It's ironic. The last time the Knicks were in the finals was 99. They played the Spurs. San Antonio 1-5. See if history repeats itself. Keith, as always, we appreciate your insight and your time. We hope you and the family are well. Safe travels.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Keith Smith, he contributes to both Spot Rack, which is very analytical, and the NBA Front Office Show, which can be seen on YouTube. Follow Keith on X at Keith Smith NBA, Keith Smith NBA.
I think this is a massive series for the league. We know that our audience is not a huge NBA audience. Now, we've added some markets. Maybe they're more NBA-esque than where we've been for, whether it's 3 years or 20 years, David. But I do believe that OKC in San Antonio can win fans back. That was that good last night. Our old producer, Felipe, that's cinema. Every damn game, that's cinema. He has no idea what cinema is. Last night, David, cinema.
Miller and Moulton. We booked a little different guest coming up at the top of the hour. We booked an academic. We deal in the world of sports, but obviously college sports can cross over multiple lines. Miller and Moulton have been talking for a few years about financially don't see how colleges and states can continue to bankroll the system as it is. That's why we've been saying They need to make the athletes employees to rein in the costs. Well, there's a gentleman in the academic world who went public yesterday, and he talked about all the schools and all the states that are hemorrhaging money, and some that he even thinks are about to go bankrupt because of it. His name is Dr. Anthony Bradley. If he's half as interesting as his post was on X, we'll have a pretty good interview. But he's coming up next.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. For those that are losing us after a couple of hours, you can always continue watching. Twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, YouTube.com/Miller and Moulton. And any part of the show, well, we put a podcast up for that as well. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
No!
This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio, with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes alive.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Bradley.
Hello there.
Thanks
Can
for
you hear it?
We appreciate
Can you
it.
hear us okay?
I can hear you fine.
Great. Thank you. We could see and hear you fine. How you doing this
Fantastic.
morning?
Doing well.
Great.
As I
Thanks
said. Yeah, I'm happy on the show. This is leg day for me in the gym, so I'm happy to procrastinate and be on the show. So thank you.
Sir, I'm glad we could contribute in a positive way.
Thank you
No
so
one
much.
likes that, Dr. Bradley.
No.
No one likes
No,
that.
no. I'm happy to delay it. I asked how long the segment was, and he said 12 to 15 minutes. And I said, no, make it longer. Make it longer. That way I don't have to go to the gym.
Sorry.
Too old.
Sorry, it's only 12. Sorry. Well, we appreciate you doing this. We've been talking the money of college sports and just how we think that schools are not going to be able to keep foot in the bill and millionaires and billionaires. We actually think at some point they'll say enough. So that's why when we saw what you posted, and I know it wasn't all about sports, but, that's why I reached out and just thought maybe we could kick this around a little bit because it's something we have talked about a lot for a couple years. So,
right. No, it's a real problem. I mean, we can talk. We'll talk on the show, but this is like a crisis. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk. D1 programs are not profitable. The bubble's burst, friends.
Yes, it has.
Now, the real question, though, is, it's kind of like the NFL to these networks. I mean, CBS and Fox can't pay the bills broadcasting the NFL either, but they view it as a loss leader because without the NFL, they think they cease to exist as a network. And we think also that's kind of what one of the debates the colleges have. We're losing money on sports, but if we don't have sports at the highest level,
yes,
what is right? So that's right.
You're not going to have any students, so
right, exactly. So,
well, that's a whole and I will get into that too because that's to me part of it as well.
And I can tell you, as a Clemson alum, go Tigers. This breaks my heart because we can talk about this. There was this assumption that sports was going to be this windfall, have the spillover effect. It just hasn't turned out that way, and now people are scrambling. Right? And then if you have a non-competitive sports program, you're cooked. It's just cost you. The University of Vermont or something like that. Who goes there for sports other than hockey?
Here we got about 5 seconds before we go here.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thanks so much for joining us, Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. He's a research fellow at the Action Institute, and he's a research professor at Kuiper College. He's a Clemson alum. He's Dr. Anthony Bradley. You can follow him on X at Dr. Ant, A-N-T, Bradley. And we booked him on the show because of a post that he made yesterday on X in which he listed about 6 major universities in a couple of states and the financial crisis that they are in. Dr. Bradley, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. We only got about 12 minutes and we could do an hour and a half, but how much of what you posted was based on sports and how much of it was based on just declining enrollment because Americans are having less kids?
It's actually both and thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate the opportunity. Listen, the higher ed bubble has basically burst. We've got 2 problems. On the one hand, we've got declining enrollments, and on the other hand, we've got a spending problem. And too many colleges are spending way too much money on sports, and it's not revenue generating, right? And so they're having to make major cuts just to balance their budget. So it's really a combination of those two things, declining enrollments and overspending. And for state schools, the state legislatures have had enough. So they're cutting funding back, and they're relying on the universities to fund their own programs, but they don't have the cash because they don't have the revenue either from student enrollments or from sports. And so it's crumbling. The bubbles burst, gentlemen. Higher education is imploding in America today.
And costs keep going up because of things like NIL and pay for play. I mean, Texas, Ohio State, they're spending $45+ million on their football teams. We have said for the longest time it can't continue. You can't keep going to the same donors over and over. At the same time, we have more millionaires than we've ever had. It's seemingly that these rich people want to spend to make sure their alma maters have a good football team. Will that bubble burst as well? I mean, can you keep going back to the well of the rich donor over and over?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you something about rich donors. They like to support the winning horse. Once the horse wins, they're like, I accomplished the goal, right? And this idea that you can just keep going to the same group for money over and over again when the program itself posts losses every single year. There are only a few D1 programs in the country right now that are actually profitable. And rich donors don't like to see their money being wasted when there's still losses in terms of revenue. And so that well is going to eventually dry up, and these schools are going to be on the hook because they're paying players millions of dollars. I was recently at a major university, I won't name it, in the state of Texas, really large university in the state of Texas that I won't name. And because of NIL, think about this, gentlemen. Think about this. We have 18, 19-year-old players, and this is a fact, who were making between $12,000 and $15,000 per month cash in their checking accounts. That is unsustainable because other sports, other non-revenue sports want the same sort of deal. So they do it for football. The basketball players want NIL. The swimming team wants NIL. The tennis players want NIL. The track players want NIL. There's not enough money to support D1 sports if everybody's getting these fantastic NIL deals, and the donors are not going to allow it to continue.
Well, Texas Tech had $1 million softball pitcher last year, and they re-upped it to bring her back for another year. Just to read the post from Dr. Anthony Bradley yesterday. Clemson's $1.5 billion in debt. Syracuse is closing or pausing 93 programs. North Carolina plans to cut spending by $90 million over the next 3 years. Duke recently let 600 employees go in a $350 million budget cut. Indiana Public Schools have announced a plan to eliminate or merge 580 programs statewide. Doctor, our solution is simple. Make them employees, therefore you can negotiate with them, therefore you can control cost, at least on the sports end. What the academic world does in academia, that's their problem. But at least sports, make them employees, therefore you can collectively bargain, you can control costs, as opposed to, Mark mentioned Ohio State and Texas spending $43 million this year. 2 years ago, it was $23 million. Obviously, we can't keep spending like this. Are you in favor of making the athletes employees?
I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that we have to figure out a way to sort of streamline and consolidate all the spending so that it makes sense in the long term. And if turning them into employees allows that, then that's fine. But if they become employees, they're no longer sort of amateur athletes. They're now professionals because they're getting a salary. They're actually getting taxes taken out. They're probably going to unionize, right? and all sorts of things. So if they become employees, we'll expect them to basically act like professional athletes in terms of how they spend their money, how they consolidate their time, how they also consolidate their resources, and how they partner together to form a union or something like that to protect their interests, right? And so think about this, gentlemen. If they become employees, you know who's going to benefit? Lawyers. That's who's going to benefit, because the lawyer is going to parachute in from the lawyer planet to manage all of this, because the collective bargaining that would happen, it would be absolutely outrageous. So we make it employees. It's perfectly fine. But we have to be ready for all the other things that's going to come when they're employees, like the rest of the employees at other parts of the university. Could we see a scenario where they go on strike if they don't get what they want? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine Ohio State's football team going on strike because of a collective bargaining deal that they didn't get? I mean, that's a real possibility. So the universities probably don't want them to be employees, because they'll lose the power over them, right? And that would be somewhat deleterious to the program's philosophy of controlling these players to squeeze out as much revenue out of them as possible.
You know, the other thing that's going on throughout the past at least decade and probably longer, you know, the GPA to get into schools now is higher than, like, if you're going to an SEC school, they're all raising their admission standards because kids seemingly want to go to school where there are big time athletics. Are the kids getting, because prices have never been higher for college tuition, how much is student fees going up? How much are the other, like, I remember, you know, centuries ago when I went to college, they built a new basketball facility at Michigan State, and the student fees went up exponentially. And I was a freshman that year. It didn't bother me because that's what they always were. And I remember older students complaining about it going from, you know, 40 to 120 bucks a semester. How much of the bill are the students footing right now via student fees?
That's a fantastic question. So across the board, if you look at reports of student fee enroll costs for the next school year, on average right now we're seeing anywhere from 4 to 5.5% tuition increases just for the next academic year. And students are struggling with this. I mean, this is sort of a national problem that the cost of education is actually going up higher than inflation. So inflation is 2 to 3% every year, but tuition costs are going up 4 to 5% every year. And so if you add all the other variables, high fuel costs, high food costs, overall inflation, college is exponentially more expensive. And so this is what students are saying and families are saying. Listen, if we're going to take out a second mortgage to go to college, well, we might as well go somewhere fun. So the Northeast right now is bleeding students to the South. Students do not want to go to the University of Buffalo. They don't want to go to Stony Brook. They don't want to go to UMass or Vermont. They're all going south because you can have that full experience at a price point that makes sense because it's so ridiculously expensive.
What's a solution? Like if you were a university president came to you, said, I got declining enrollments, you know, there are less kids wanting to go to college than ever before because there's less kids in the kids pool. I'm just curious, what would you say to a university president, or are we in a cycle right now that's going to last a generation and this is going to get worse?
No, it's going to get much, much worse. The largest expenditure at a university is staff. And if I was a university president, I would cut non-essential, non-academic staff. I mean, if you look at the charts in terms of spending on professors versus staff for the last 30 years, the faculty line's basically been flat for the last 30 years. The staff line's gone up 3, 4, 7x over the last 20, 25 years. So I would just slash a bunch of programs in terms of staffing that are non-essential. But here's actually what happened. The federal government has been shadow funding all these universities. And so when the president cut the federal expenditures for NIH funding, National Institutes of Health funding, This was millions and millions and millions of dollars per campus. They actually all imploded because they don't now they don't have the money to support all of the staff, the some of the faculty, all the programs, all the centers. That money's evaporated. So we've got to completely slash and cut away a lot of these non-essential programs, and then we have to make really hard decisions about sports. If we do not have revenue generating sports, primarily basketball and football, maybe in the Northeast is hockey, we got to cut it. We got to let these programs go.
Dr. Anthony Bradley, he's a research fellow at the Action Institute, and he's a research professor at Kuiper College. You could follow him on X at Dr. Dr. Ant Bradley. Dr. Ant Bradley. We may call you again if that's okay. Sorry we kept you away from leg day for 15 minutes. So I hope you'll get back on the machine.
I'm headed to the gym right now. Gentlemen, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Doc. Really appreciate it.
Dr. Anthony Bradley, kind enough to join us and talk money in colleges, athletics and otherwise, going forward. Miller and Moulton may have a little more to say about this. We're going to talk hockey with Greg Wyshynski in 25 minutes as well.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. Capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700. Or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Now, Hoosier Heritage, things may have changed, but during Trump's first term, a donation to a college used to be a tax write-off. And he took that away, which shocked a lot of people. I don't know if he ever reversed that. Now, I don't know if Biden reversed it in between. But, another post that Dr. Bradley had, his point about reducing staff, not faculty, but staff. He pointed out that Yale has more staff, not faculty, staff, administrators, than they do undergraduates. that apparently they have like 5,000 undergrads and like 5,500 people in administration. That would seem excessive.
Yeah, there's someone sent me a tweet that responded to some, unless this is all of his stuff, but yeah, not only Yale, but the other thing this one points out, maybe this is on Dr. Bradley's too, but basically we peaked in high school graduates in 2025. 3.9 million high school graduates. By 2041, it drops by 500,000 students a year.
And the birth rate's been going down and is expected to continue to go down. So obviously, that should mean less people going to college.
Funny thing is, I'm doing great on segments 1 and 2, David. I don't have hardly any segment 3s.
Interesting.
Like I have none. I mean, I've got enough 1s and 2s to do 3 or just over the past few weeks to do 2 shows. I have no segment 3s.
Do you need us to
Yes.
schmooze for 2-3 minutes so you can add a 1 in a 3
I
slot?
don't really want to do that much work, but we can. I mean, that becomes editing. That's
I understand.
that's not my forte. Taking a 15-minute and 50-second segment and then just going here, that's what I'm good at.
So next time I'll book Dr. Anthony Bradley at 8:38.
Well, if you can book any generics for this week, because we need a best of for Monday.
JP's tomorrow
Great.
at 8:38. And Pat's at 7:38.
Great. That's 2. And I was actually thinking, believe it or not, I don't know if you have time. I guess it would. I don't even know when I couldn't even. You know what? I don't have time. I was going to say we could do today was the day, an actual, Memorial Day 1, but we'd have to do it at night.
Okay.
Because literally, I'm not ready for it today. And Thursday, I have to have Trent edit the 4th hour because I have to be in Tampa at 12:15. So I am flying out of here Thursday.
Okay.
And I'm not letting this affect my tea times on Wednesday or Friday. There are priorities in this world, David.
I understand, Mark.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Hope you enjoyed our 12 plus minutes with Dr. Anthony Bradley. Just talking about the money, partly college sports, but we also got into a bigger picture about just enrollment and, the faculty versus administrators versus student ratios and how, when you ask a guest a question, you expect the polite answer. So, when you give them 2 possibilities and say, hey, if you were a university president, I came up to you and asked you, what's the solution? Or basically, is this a 20-year cycle that's going to suck? And he goes, oh, no, it's going to suck.
Yes. The question I have for you right now, David, and our entire audience, do you feel dumber after that interview? And I don't mean because of the knowledge that you got, because I think we all learned a little bit. I mean, personally, when you listen to, what I consider a very smart human being speaking for 15 minutes, do you walk away from that going, huh, What's the line on the Knicks game, and how's that relevant?
Fortunately, it was only 12 minutes. If it was 2 hours and 12 minutes, I think I would have felt the way I did when I left seeing the movie Saving Private Ryan, which I just felt like I had wasted my life and I'm doing nothing and I'm not contributing to the society at large at all. So I'm glad that it was only 12 minutes in that sense. But the other part of me is that I felt proud. I'm like, hey, kind of raising the level of discussion on our show. It's not a bad thing, right? We can handle 12 minutes of this, and then we can go right back to Wemby and the Knicks and which city has had the most misery in sports. I mean, we can go back there if you want.
Sure. Absolutely. But it was, as we talked a little bit during the break, with the declining enrollments, with the amount of administrators hired by colleges, those are the two big things that he focused on. And the other thing, if you caught it at the end, when David asked point blank, how do you fix it? He basically said every non-revenue sport needs to go away. The Olympic sports that are out there, cut them and cut them right now. That means we'd have football, basketball, hockey at some schools, women's basketball, baseball at a couple, and I mean a couple.
And wrestling at a few.
Even less. How many wrestling programs do you think make money? Penn State, Iowa State?
Well, a few is defined 3 to 30. So, I thought I just made the cutoff. I didn't exaggerate. I said just a few.
But I don't know how you get away with that in a Title IX world. And I'm being serious here for a second, David, because we have Title IX, which means you have to offer an equal number of scholarships to women's sports as you do men's. Well, women's sports don't make money. Women's basketball does at most schools. It does. It's very, not just the big boys. But it's close because you look at what they spend to travel and what they now have to spend on NIL. And I don't know if they really spend on NIL, but on coaches, on travel. They didn't get a great TV deal. They didn't. We've talked about this.
Yeah, we thought actually it should have been like 5 times bigger. They included it in the overall deal, and we thought women's sports would have done much better if they literally said, don't include us. Let us negotiate for ourselves. Quite frankly, like the WNBA players just did, and they got far and away the best deal that an American women's sports franchise has ever gotten for itself.
So those are, he literally said, get rid of all the non-revenue sports. That's what he just told us.
Well, I'm going to, 2 things. We talked about this in the last couple of years, in which how close are we to the major universities who have 18, 20, 23 sports? How close are we to them having 5 varsity and a bunch of club sports?
I think a lot closer than you think.
I do too.
There's only one Phil Knight out there that's going to support the Oregon track program, if you know what I mean. That's important to them, if you follow what I'm saying. And maybe there's a donor at every school that's going to, but think about it, like Florida State's, what's the young golfer, they're paying $1 million to this kid.
Miles Russell, I believe.
Miles Russell's getting $1 million to play college golf.
Well,
college golf might not make $1 million in revenue in the entire sport in a decade.
Well, and we don't know how much Charlie Woods is going to get too, and he's in the same class. I'm guessing he's getting at least $500,000. So, but here's the question. Can they, because of Title IX, do that? Or, Mark, are the 5 or 6 sports going to be football and men's basketball, and those are going to be the only 2 male sports? And then the next however many sports are going to be all women, all because of Title IX. Or, let's face it, Mark, in the last half dozen years, and I am not getting political, But in the last half dozen years, there's been quite a few things that have been on our books for 30, 40, 50, 60 years that have been challenged in the courts and overturned. Okay? Who's to say that Title IX doesn't get challenged and overturned? In which somebody goes to court and says, we can't afford it. What have we talked about forever? Okay, if they took football off the books, this would work fine. We've argued Social Security is not part of the budget. Okay, it's a separate thing that pays for itself. Now, they steal from it all the time to pay for other things. That's politics. We won't go there. We have said forever, football needs to be off budget. It needs to be Social Security. And then schools make do with the rest. Now, remember, there's a downside to it, because if the football thing's making a $20 million profit and bankrolling all those sports, you take it off budget, you lose that money.
Well, and that's why, you brought up a long time ago, and I don't know how much with NIL it's changed, the Florida Gator baseball program. There's 30 kids on the program. There's 10 scholarships for baseball. And if my numbers are off, I apologize. But the point I'm making is each kid gets a third scholarship.
Right. It was that way till like 2-3 years ago, until this whole NIL thing. But you're right. I mean, here's the Florida Gators.
Changed.
Right.
The NIL has, but the scholarships haven't changed all that much. There's only 20 scholarships.
In baseball, they doubled the number of scholarships. But yes, I mean, your point's very valid. Here was the University of Florida in the early 2020s, best baseball program in the country. They won back-to-back natties, and every kid on the team was getting a 1/3 scholarship, or else you went somewhere else.
And I had to laugh. I was talking to another, my daughter does gymnastics. I was talking to a gymnastics parents. Their daughter happens to be the best girl at this particular place. She's really good. She may, and I said, is she talking to colleges yet? And they said one. And it's not a Power 4 school. And mom's of the opinion that means scholarship. And in my head, I didn't have the heart to look her dead in the eye and say, there's no way she's getting a full ride for gymnastics. Not a chance at a non-Power 4 school. It doesn't work that way. So, I mean, I don't know where the funding comes from. And he didn't either. Dr. Bradley had no clue. His idea was to make massive cuts. Massive.
And that could be in the athletic department, in which we have a half a dozen sports and 18 club sports. And go out, do your car washes, raise your money, and have fun.
Great. I'm going to have more people asking for money in front of Publix now. That's all I need. Get accosted coming in. I mean, I've got to go to the 10 an item or the self-checkout, David, because I just can't handle any more people at that point.
That's where you go to the Publix manager and you go, only one a day. Okay. Only one sport a day.
Miller and Moulton. We'll talk some hockey. Greg Wyshynski coming up next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
The Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-800 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You know, Brian, that's not far off. That's a really good analogy. I'm with you 100%. And outside of Girl Scout cookies, at least they're giving you something. Now, I'll give the baseball teams a little credit. They're throwing you a bag of peanuts basically for
Mark, that's hysterical. The likelihood of the NFL, the same league that is now taking it as an affront that college football has the audacity to schedule playoff games on the weekends, just on Saturdays even. So the NFL has gone out of their way to play Saturday games in late December so as to F with college football. And you think they're going to write college football a check?
That is funny.
It's hysterical.
That's all right. I got a guy texting me about how he's fixing sports because we have to cut the spending down and how he's got an elaborate plan of relegation. It's like, dude, come on. I got one.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. And it is very difficult to find somebody as good as their job as our next guest is at his. He is the fine hockey writer and commentator for ESPN and ESPN.com. He's Greg Wyshynski. Follow him on X at Wyshynski, WISHYNSKI. Greg, David, and Mark, thanks for doing this again. I just want to let you know Miller and Moulton have made an emergency petition to Gary Bettman. We're proposing the Canadians and Sabres play a best of 9. We're waiting to hear later today if it will, in fact, go into, operation.
How many of them did the Sabres get on the road is the question. I think that's the real, whether or not be a successful series for.
Yeah, I think all the teams want to play on the road in that series. My goodness. The way that one went. We'll clean up things with Greg Wyshynski and bring him back here in just a bit. But the fine hockey writer for ESPN and ESPN.com. And we're down to the Final Four in hockey, conference finals.
I don't know what's going on here. I'm trying to fix it, David. Trying to fix it.
Western Conference Finals get underway tomorrow night. Vegas and Colorado. ESPN has the West. TNT has the East. Montreal and Carolina. And that won't begin till Thursday. So Carolina is going to be off for 12-plus days. Colorado gets a nice rest. Even Vegas gets a nice rest. About a week. But Colorado 8-1 in the playoffs. Carolina 8-0. Greg Wyshynski rejoins us. Okay.
Hey there. Better?
How are you?
Much better. I fixed it.
No worries. I was saying the Sabres I thought played admirably last night. Obviously, digging themselves a hole and then climbing out of it. I thought Montreal came out in overtime, looking like a team that thought they were going to win. If I'm going to be honest with you, but they can hold their heads high. Can the Sabres? At least the way they played in the last 2 games. I think the series was lost in Game 5 at home. Where the Sabres really laid an egg in that game in the second period. But it was a very even series.
We were worried about both Buffalo and Montreal heading into the playoffs, and for that matter, Carolina, because goaltending's always been an issue. And outside of one game, Montreal's goaltender has been amazing in these playoffs. Go back to the entire Tampa series. He had he laid one egg in Game 6 at home in Montreal. Freddie Anderson's been great.
And I guess we lost Mark. And with that, I'm assuming we also lost Greg. So that's a bummer because obviously we wanted to talk plenty of hockey. It's as if the hockey gods have dumped on us in the last few minutes, the way we think that maybe the Lightning and or the Sabres have gotten the short end of the puck luck in the hockey gods. But they have a taunt 6-2 on the road in the playoffs. 6-2, 3-1 in both 7-game series. Win Game 7s on the road. Both 1-goal games. And same gentleman, Alex Newhook. He scored both the game winners. The third period goal to beat the Lightning and the overtime goal to beat the Sabres. And so now Montreal, with a whole bunch of momentum and probably just the right amount of rest, Played on a Monday night in Buffalo. Now they're going to play on a Thursday night in Carolina. That's probably perfect for them. Meanwhile, obviously, for Carolina, they're going to have to find their groove and find it quickly because it will have been 12 days since they last played. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I told you the networks because some of us who like our hockey prefer certain networks' coverage of the games over others. So that's why I let you know the Western Conference will be ESPN's property and the Eastern Conference Finals will be TNT's. ESPN has the Stanley Cup Final this year. They alternate. This is year 5 of the 7-year deal with ESPN Turner and the NHL. The NHL earlier this year proposed to both networks, hey, how about we just roll it over? And both networks said, no, we're good, which I'm a little surprised at. I'm wondering if TNT did it because they're kind of in the middle of the sale. So they're not really going to be their own entity going forward. So maybe CBS said to TNT, don't do it. But for $300 million a year, which is TNT's contribution, I would have done it. To us, what it shows is how much money ESPN is having to spend on both the NBA and football, not just the NFL, but also for college football.
And they've also flouted some of the rules insofar as wearing microphones during games. So it's warranted. I fully expect they'll get their draft pick back, but all they have to do is fly across the country and kiss Gary Bettman's ring. But for the moment, at least, it's a good scare tactic and a good reminder that this stuff should be taken seriously at a time when the league is doing quite well insofar as popularity.
Well, also, it's a sport that, quite frankly, can always use publicity. So I'm glad that Bettman came down hard on him. I do wonder how much the whole Long Beach airport curfew, played in all this. It's a very strange phenomenon at work here. All right, Montreal, Carolina. I think the perfect amount of rest for Montreal. They got an extra day. They won't lose their groove. They'll get the extra day of rest needed, and then they can hit the ice running, so to speak, against Carolina, or Carolina might need half a game to, get up to speed.
Yeah, they might. But at the same time, I mean, Montreal also is now a team that's played back-to-back Game 7s. And, one of the stories of the season so far has been how much this sort of compressed schedule that everybody has played this year has wreaked havoc on their bodies. Because of the Olympics, we had teams playing just a ton of games in a short amount of time during the season. And so the idea, well, I agree with you. I mean, we have no idea what the rust is going to look like on the Hurricanes having been off the ice in a competitive way since May 9th. I would rather be them than Montreal that's had to go the distance in 2 straight series in order to try to even make it to the conference final.
All right, the things I thought Montreal did really well in both series, I think they skate really well. Their faceoffs they're unbelievable on faceoffs, and up until last night, they seem to win every 50-50 puck. How much will they be able to do any of those things against Carolina? Because heading into the playoffs, I thought Carolina, I thought it was going to be Carolina-Tampa. Okay, it didn't work out. But when I've watched Montreal, my confidence in them has increased. How much has yours increased in giving Carolina a series?
It's increased a lot because I'm really impressed with their depth. I mean, they don't have to rely on guys like Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield like they did in the regular season to excel offensively. They're getting goals from throughout their lineup. They get goals from the back end sometimes. And obviously their goaltending is much better than I thought it could ever be in the playoffs. That being said, the thing that Carolina does better than anybody is to take away the things you do well. You mentioned the face-off advantage. Well, they're going to be going up against a team that has Jordan Stahl and Sebastian Aho up the middle, and that's pretty impressive. I covered Carolina in the first 2 rounds. I think this is easily the best team that Rod Brindamore has had there from top to bottom. As long as Freddie Anderson doesn't get hurt, which he's done in the past, or, all of a sudden kind of see his fortunes change dramatically, which has also happened in the past, and I think they are the better team and should advance.
Yeah, we commented late in the regular season. I mean, didn't they have 7 20-goal scorers? And they do seem to win every faceoff. I think it's why their penalty killing is so good. They win every faceoff and throw it down the ice, and it seems as if by the time the team actually get it established in the zone, there's 1:10 left in the penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of it too. And they just have really good players that know how to play a 200-foot game. I mean, they're all very defensively responsible. There's nobody on that roster that can't D it up. And the other thing that they do really well too is they manage to get scoring out of every line, including the lines where it's supposed to be mostly defensive. They signed a guy named Nick Ehlers from the Winnipeg Jets last season, and stuck him on a line with Jordan Staal and Jordan Martinook, their 2 best defensive forwards, and now they've got this dangerous offensive option on a line that otherwise isn't expected to score. So again, like their depth, their balance, that they can play defense. I just think it's a really formidable task for Montreal in this series.
Does Vegas have a shot at all? I mean, Torts did what he did. We already talked about them losing the draft pick, but they're without their best player maybe in Stone. I don't know if he'll be back. Colorado's been great all year. This shouldn't change, should it?
The 2 things I'll say about Colorado right now, and I do think that they're, borderline juggernaut status in these playoffs. Last series against Minnesota was the first time we saw their goaltending wobble a little bit. And, much like Buffalo, they did it with a tandem all season. Scott Wedgwood punched way above his weight. Mackenzie Blackwood was the other goalie in that tandem. They both played really, really well. But they weren't as good in the Minnesota series. And then the other thing that's something to watch is the health of Cale Makar, their star defenseman, who I think has clearly been laboring with some sort of injury in these playoffs. And going up against one of the most physical teams in the league in Vegas, they're going to put a target on his back as soon as the opening faceoff happens in game 1. So those are the 2 points of concern for me with Colorado. I still think that up and down, they're the deepest, best team in the playoffs. I do think Vegas has a little bit of depth to match that. But, I was shocked they were able to be as good as they were without Mark Stone. I think they need him in the lineup to really challenge Colorado in the series, and we'll see what his health status is. I mean, they are under obligation to talk to the media. They're not under obligation to tell us exactly how their players are feeling. So we'll have to find out.
Listen, with time running out, I'm just curious. I don't think we've talked to you about this. With who Toronto hired as general manager, are you upset you didn't send them a resume? Because it seems as if apparently anybody could have gotten that job.
I mean, in fairness, I never had the honor of general managing the Arizona Coyotes like John Chayka did, which, he probably has a couple books in him to talk about that experience. But, it was such an unusual hire because they went and got a guy that's been out of the league for like 5 years. He's been managing his family's portfolio of Wendy's and Tim Hortons restaurants, which I guess is great for the concession stand, but I don't know about on the ice. I'll wait and see. I mean, I like John. I've known him for a bit. I think he's a real smart guy, and I know for a fact he's really good in the room, which is probably why he's been able to get this gig. But it's such a heavy lift in Toronto. Such a heavy lift in Toronto to try to get this team good in a quick amount of time, because the clock is ticking for how long Austin Matthews is still going to be with that team.
Great line, Greg. Great line. Hey, we appreciate your time and your insight and what you do. Safe travels throughout the conference finals, and hopefully we can talk again next round.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, ESPN.com. Follow him on X, Wyshynski, WYSHYNSKI.
Well, new piece of equipment's got to get bought. Need a battery backup, David. Had a quick power surge, knocked the internet off the air for about 30 to 60 seconds there. So more purchases coming. Just ordered it off of Amazon. It will be here tomorrow.
Hey, listen, okay, I'm not putting you in your wife's category because you're not in that area code. But when need be, when it involves Miller and Moulton, you can spend money. You know what needs to be purchased because goodness knows I don't. And you just take care of it and you just send me a text saying, this money is no longer in the account.
This is a cheap one. This is an easy fix. This isn't even costing that much. I probably won't even send you the bill.
Well, it's our bill. So
I know, but I mean, you eat some things, I eat some things. Together, we eat a lot. Maybe we go through that drive-through in Canada, do a Wendy's and a Tim Hortons together, and then run the Maple Leafs.
I was going to say, not charging Miller and Moulton for Cheez-Its. I mean, I think that would be outlandish. You would start to audit what it is we do.
Miller and Moulton, the Pro Hour coming next.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Floormeisters just doesn't sell Cortec and carpet. They also sell a lot of wood. And what better time than now to stop in and see the nice folks at Floormeisters for some new hardwood for your home. With white oak wood starting at $4.99 a square foot, that makes it affordable for everyone. With 10 colors to choose from, they have a color for everyone. So stop in, 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go to the web. It's floormeisters.com. Floormeisters.com. Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This summer, there's only one place to experience the roar of the World Cup at the British Open Pub in Bonita Springs, your World Cup headquarters, where the team is bringing every match live, full sound on every TV across the patio with daily food and drink specials from the opening match on June 11th through the final on July 19th. Catch the electric atmosphere for every England and USA match and all the matches in between at the British Open Pub, Bonita Springs, at the shops of Pelican Landing, where the World Cup comes alive.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I don't think he cited anything, JDR. They talked about it. He just shut the doors. I actually did a minute and a half of the Greg Wyshynski interview with just he and I.
I could tell. So
Well, no. When by the time you got on, I'm back on Comrex, so that's going over the radio. What I'm saying is, while the internet went out before I could get Comrex back, the satellite back up, we were disconnected from the satellite. I didn't let him know. I just kept doing the interview. Then I went to Comrex, and then I could finally, because it took longer for the computer. It took longer for StreamYard to find the website than it did for Comrex to find the connection, if you will.
Right.
And I have a good surge protector, but we're getting a new one with a battery backup today. That's what I just ordered.
I don't think Tortorella ever gave a reason, JDR. Ooh.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the pro hour or the bonus hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thanks so much for being with us. We've had a fun, interesting show today. Talked NBA with Keith Smith, talked hockey with Greg Wyshynski, and talked not just the financial crisis with college athletics, but the financial crisis with college, period. And how sports plays a big role in that, and what does the future look like with Dr. Anthony Bradley. So 3 terrific interviews along with some fun segments. Our poll question, in honor of the Sabres losing Game 7, they're 1-7 in Game 7s, and we all know the Bills' history. Mark decided, let's just find out the city that's, gone through the most misery. Buffalo, Cleveland, or Minneapolis? And it's our poll question. And you can vote. You can see it live, twitch.tv, and on the Miller Moulton YouTube channel. Don't know if you can see it and vote elsewhere.
It's up on X, but I don't even know where those poll questions go.
Right. There's 4 votes. So, okay. And I'm surprised a little bit at the leader right now. and the margin especially. I wonder how much of it's timing.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is, no doubt. But, I think Buffalo's deserving of the title. I mean, Cleveland with the Cavs, they've won a championship. The Twins won a couple. I know it's a generation or two ago. I get it. And the problem is when it comes to the Vikings and their lack of success in the final game in football, it's been 3 generations. Their hockey team, the new ones, never made the Stanley Cup Finals. The old one lost in 6, and Game 6 was an 8-0 shutout.
Yeah, they made it twice. They got steamrolled by the Islander dynasty in 5 and got beat by the Penguin dynasty in 6.
So, that people don't, Minnesotans think that way. I get it. But nationally, Buffalo, whether you go back a generation for the 4 straight Super Bowls they lost, the Music City Miracle, the 13 seconds, Brett Hull's foot in the crease. Last night, they play their tails off and lose in overtime. 1-7 in Game 7s as an organization in hockey. That's tough. The North Stars didn't even get to a Game 7 in these. They got steamrolled by the Isle and lost in 6 to Pittsburgh. They were dynasties. They were great teams, but it wasn't the heartbreak that Buffalo has suffered. And I think Cleveland, when it comes to heartbreak, is probably, but you got to go back a long way. But their heartbreak's real too.
It depends how far back you want to go with the baseball team. Old timers in Cleveland still talk about the 54 series and the Willie Mays catch, which changed that series in Game 1. Cleveland was a heavy favorite. They ended up getting swept. But I had a Cleveland fan who texted me and said, listen, we had Jim Brown quit to go into movies, okay? And then he said, and we have plays in which we know either the play call or the play was given a name. Red Right 88. That's Sipe getting picked in the end zone. The drive, the fumble, the Jordan shot to beat him in 89. Okay? A lot of people think that baseball team lost their identity when they switched them to the Guardians. Their football team got up and left for 3 years. Left.
I would ask this person one simple question about that particular comment. Where do you live now, sir? Did you stay in Cleveland? You, like everybody else, including your football team, left. We don't blame you for Cleveland's demise. You blame the football team. You left probably before they did. That's all.
Well, I don't know what that has to do with it.
Well, they all blame the football team for leaving when they all left the city themselves.
Well, I think they blame more than the football team. Okay. I think they also blame the mayor and the NFL for letting it happen. But they did have a football team just get up and leave. I do think they're in first place in that category. The Raiders moved around a lot. I'll grant you that. The Oilers went to Tennessee, became the Titans. Houston got a new franchise. But
Baltimore was without a franchise for quite a while too. Theirs got up in the middle of the night and left.
Yes, they did.
And teams, okay, on that note alone, the Browns moving, devastating to Cleveland. I get it. Which move do we really remember? We got up and watched Mayflower trucks leaving a city. That's the move we all remember. Cleveland fan remembers that one. As a nation, we remember, if you're of a certain age, you remember the Colts. I think more.
It's the power of video. It's the power of that local TV crew getting that 30, clutch seconds of video. Getting a tip, racing over there, filming it. Well, that was the difference. I mean, obviously very different topic, but, Ray Rice got suspended for 2 games. We didn't have any video of the incident. Video appeared. Never played another down in the NFL. It's funny how that whole power of video thing works. But
And then we spent a good deal of time talking about whether or not gambling's a mental illness.
right.
Because Brendan Sorsby is suing the NCAA wanting immediate eligibility. This is the quarterback that transferred from Cincinnati to Texas Tech. Then he entered rehab for a gambling addiction. Now he is suing the NCAA, requesting immediate eligibility reinstatement because his gambling addiction is a mental illness. This is fascinating. And I like our show today. I like it a lot. I like the things we discussed. I love the talk with Dr. Bradley. Love Greg Wyshynski, obviously, and Keith Smith's been great when we talk the NBA with him. But this Sorsby case, if he wins,
the ramifications throughout the legal community, forget college athletics, the ramifications throughout the legal community will be startling. What then isn't a mental illness when you commit whatever it is you commit?
When you gamble on your phone with the heart, I mean, it's not like he's going to get his money back, but who really would never take that excuse into consideration? The guy. A generation ago, if you looked at the guy and he says, you owe me $5,000. Yeah, but I've got a mental illness. I'll beat the mental illness out of you.
I was going to say, he would pause and he would say, oh, okay, well, in that case, you owe me $5,000.
Exactly. So I am so intrigued by this Sorsby thing because we've now gotten to the point with eligibility rules in college that seemingly you just go get the right judge and you get another year of eligibility. The kid from Ferris State at Ole Miss there, Chambliss. We just kept fighting until we got a judge that agreed. We'll keep going to judges.
Yeah, I guess he's going to be their quarterback this year, huh?
Right. Diego Pavia won several times with his eligibility because JUCO doesn't count in the NIL world, which I think is a crock, by the way. And you and I have talked about on air that now the NCAA is trying what? To make it a 5-year thing. You have 5 years of eligibility.
Period.
And you and I are both for that, and you think it doesn't stand a chance in hell in the courts.
No, it'll take a while, but no, I don't. So far, the courts have, unless somebody has got something to correct me here, but honestly, in the last 17 years since the Ed O'Bannon case, when has a court said to the players as a whole, nope, sorry, that doesn't apply? When have they put restrictions on the players as a whole? And so now the NCAA is trying to put a restriction on the players. I think most of us think it's common sense. Hell, I think some would say it's 1 year too many. But okay, fine. Let's give them 5. Well, we got tight ends and quarterbacks that are getting 7, 8, 9. Why are we going to accept 5?
So there's a lot out there right now. We've attacked college sports from 3 different angles without really talking about any games. And the one thing Dr. Bradley said in our talk with him, and if you missed any of our interviews, millerandmoulton.com or the usual suspects to download your podcast. But when asked to fix it, he had a twofold answer. One, the colleges that are going broke need to cut administrative staff as fast and as quickly as they can. That's an academic answer. From a sports standpoint, all your non-revenue sports, in his opinion, need to go away. And that leads us to Title IX, David. And that's, if you do that, what happens to Title IX?
I think it's one of two things. Either you have to uphold it, and the few varsity sports you play are one or two men's sports and the rest all female, or Title IX is going to get challenged in court and maybe get overturned.
Miller and Moulton, lively show today. Still more ahead. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when, and what's on tap on Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332516.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Although I did it while doing the show, but that's a whole nother story. Thank you, Red Dog. Very smart of you to remind me of that. I wasn't even thinking. I've got the modem up here, but the input to the house is downstairs. Wasn't even thinking. You saved me, sir. You saved me. And I thank you for that. I wouldn't even have thought of it. It's so smart. I'm very, very pleased right now. All right, rate the bands. This is a tough one. It's Pete Townshend's birthday. Zeppelin, The Who, The Stones. How would you rank them? I'll leave the Beatles out. Although I don't know where they'd finish on that list with me. They wouldn't finish one. I get it. They should. But I think The Who's largely, I don't know about forgotten. But, the Stones have new songs out now, and I'm not sure that's necessary because I heard one yesterday, and it's just not that good.
What's not that good?
The new Rolling Stones song. You're probably right, Mr. Spivey. I just, I don't know. I mean, that 2 and 3 is a tough one because I love the Stones, but I think I like the Who song. Like the Stones catalog might be better, but my favorite songs, it's really tough.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
Minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. The good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. Some final thoughts, all coming up. Did you hear what I believe his name is Jamie Pollard had to say yesterday?
No, because I don't even know who Jamie Pollard is. And the fact that you had to say, I think Jamie Pollard. No, I don't know.
Well, I said it like that for a reason. I'm expecting about 4 of our listeners know that Jamie Pollard is the athletic director at Iowa State.
Oh, him.
Oh, yeah, Jamie. Nice guy.
I was thinking of Dave Pollard.
Right. He's at that NAIA school that we talk about a lot. So he's, holding court with some members of the media. And he said, I got a problem. Why did we, the Power Four, 3 years ago, create the CSC, this Collegiate Sports Commission? That was supposed to be our salary cap. Why did we create this if the Big Ten and the SEC had no interest in following it? And we're going to completely ignore it and get money wherever they could and do whatever they wanted. And he said, I said this 3 years ago, but they tried to assure me with this CSC. He goes, I just wish they'd break away already. Go. How many of you? 34 of you? Go do your own thing. He goes, now, just so you know, that's in all sports. You ain't playing us in anything. Go make your own deals. Do what you got to do. But he just, he went on and said, I'm really not so sure we wouldn't be better off if they just left and we stayed behind and created our own entity with everybody else in all sports. Thought it was interesting. This is a Power 4 athletic director. I mean, he did not mince words.
Well, in the last little bit here, they were supposed to vote this week on that SCORE Act. It got pulled. They don't have the votes, David. So, I have no idea what direction. I mean, this is rudderless. We're just spinning in circles, David.
Well, yeah,
and we're telling people whoever has the most money buy the most players.
Correct.
And we just got done having a guest on that's saying it's not obtainable long term.
Right. Not just universities, but states. Their entire public education systems are going bankrupt. How do you expect to maintain this? And oh, by the way, the number of high school kids going to college has peaked in this country. It's going down. Never mind the fact that we have a 20-year cycle of less births. Okay? All of the analytics say this ain't sustainable.
Right. 2025 apparently was the peak of high school graduates. It will go down significantly every year. Okay. And college has never cost more to attend.
Do you think if you ran ESPN, would you have any interest whatsoever in the other 330 Division I teams, schools? If the Big Ten and the SEC broke away, and assuming that the NCAA would stay in business, but they'd have nothing to do with the 34 schools that broke away, and they would event plan for the 330 schools?
That's a great question, David, because, I mean, like just football and basketball. Well, football would be fine with those two. Basketball, I mean, the Big 12 is the best conference. It is.
Yes, it is. Has been for a while.
And the Big East is pretty good.
Yes, it is.
The ACC's got a couple of good basketball programs.
Right. And by the way, I know some people are saying, well, Duke and Carolina and others would join. What he's saying is no. You 34 go. Now, Miller and Moulton have said for a long time, we think the day's coming in the early 2030s when the 34 schools do go. And they call up.
Yeah, I think they would ask some others.
Yeah, they call up Notre Dame and North Carolina and Duke. And yeah.
The
Kansas.
question really becomes, would everybody of the 34 want to go? And I'm not kidding. Would all of them really want to go?
Yeah, because it's much easier to go and get your butt kicked, at least financially. You'll be in better shape than if you stay behind.
But with the rising costs that we just discussed, I know they'll get more TV money, but that means salaries go up. And can they really run at a profit this way?
Maybe not. Maybe they can break even. And it's all about enrollment. And so I think they'd go big to try to keep their enrollment up for as long as possible. To me, what is interesting about this is, could Jamie Pollard get it so that literally the other 8 to 12 schools can't join them? Because like you talked about, there's value in about 6 to 8 schools, and not necessarily all of them in football, but one of them is Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame would abandon the ACC so fast, it'd be embarrassing.
By the way, did you see some of the off-the-record comments by athletic directors about Notre Dame?
No.
ACC ADs are like, time to put up or shut up with Notre Dame. And basically they're like, yeah, Notre Dame has taken all of our money, stole our girlfriend. I hate them. I mean, they can't do anything about it, and they know it.
Well, they could not renew the deal.
Well, that's where this began because it's about to come up. So, by the way, Tony Pollard, in a quick search, most famous person with the last name Pollard, I would go with.
The running back?
Yeah, I mean, that's about all I got here from sports. That's unless you want to go with the former Australian cricket player Mick Pollard.
Oh, I was thinking the former Kansas basketball player and NBA player Scott Pollard.
Didn't even make my list of a quick search, David.
Huh.
A.J. Pollard is a historian known for his work on War of the Roses. And Captain Pollard was a fictional character. So there's some Pollards for you.
Well, I don't know if this AD would be a medalist, but I think he'd make the final. I think he'd make the 8-person track and field final in the Pollard relay.
I agree. He'd make one of them, that's for certain.
Yeah.
So there's a little history on Pollards. By the way, you began the show with the best of 9. They only did that from 1919 to 1921. There are only 3 years of best of 9s.
And yet you and I remember it so vividly. What does that say about us?
It says a lot, David. It says a lot without saying anything at all. You can all come to your own conclusions. On Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly, today was a day when. That's next.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
All right. Since you gave me a little quick rundown on your, a few of you jumped in on that little Who, Zeppelin, Rolling Stone things. Give me your least favorite band that everybody else likes. We all know mine's Def Leppard. Least favorite band personally that everybody else likes, or singer, whatever the case may be. In a genre you like, because just to throw some country artist out there that everybody likes and you hate country, like that would, for me to do that would be ridiculous, because I don't do country. Ooh, wow, Weasel. Damn. I knew who was coming up. I knew that one was coming a lot. That's become very trendy recently. To hate you too. Glad we're doing this without David here. He'd get upset. Ooh, that's a Oh, see, I wouldn't put that in their top 5, Steel City Dolphin. I think Bad's a better song. I think In God's Country is a much better song, but fair enough. I think Bad's their best song. Hate the Police. Wow. That hurts, Brian, but I asked the question, I knew I'd get some bands that I liked on there. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything I would even say just okay after that, Weasel. I'm not going to argue with that. There's a song or two that's okay. Album-wise, I'm with you. All Beatles, you guys? I mean, that's fine. I can get the She Loves You, yeah, yeah stuff being a little, goofy. But like Rubber Soul and Revolver? But all right, hey. Like I said, it's a question I asked. Oh, they ripped the shirts off in Tampa last night, too. I did not know that. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think that counts. I don't think everybody liked them. But I see where you're at there. David, who's the popular band that you always hated? Singer or band that you hated that everybody else liked? Good talk. We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until we're done. We're out of here. We thank you for listening. Full show lined up already for tomorrow. Pat Kerwin talking NFL. The owners' meetings going on in Orlando. Seth Everett. Who knows what we talk with Seth about? It's part of our charm. And J.P. Peterson. Big vote scheduled tomorrow night. He got his moment in front of a commission. Got to say his piece a week or so ago. Talked to JP about the votes, how he thinks it's going to go for the Rays and the new stadium deal. And we'll talk about the Rays' best record in the American League tomorrow on Miller and Moulton.
I didn't even realize until this commercial break, because I can't watch the Rays and I'm not paying for it until I can commit to baseball for the rest of the year. They ripped their shirts off in the bleachers last night. It's the best sports trend in a while. Like, there's nothing about it that's not a little bit funny. Anytime a fat guy can rip his shirt off and let the gut hang out, most of them look like they're skinny and in good shape and whatever.
Right.
But it takes some kahunas. Most people that are fat don't even take their shirts off anymore in the water. Now that
Right.
we've got these long sleeve sun shirts that you fat people, and I'm one of them. My shirt comes right off when I'm in water. I don't care. I'm not getting a shirt wet. It's uncomfortable. I want my shirt to be dry. So when I ride back on the boat, sit by the pool, I'm dry. But a lot of people, we're just going to wear the swim shirt and do what you want to do, fat guy. But I say rip it off and show the gut to people. But when you do it at a ball game, you're screaming, ha ha, I'm having another hot dog. And good for you. Tarps off, my friend. Tarps off.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start today in 1926. NBC, founded by the Radio Corporation of America. 1935, the NFL adopts its annual college draft to begin in 36. Churchill and Roosevelt plotted D-Day today in 1943. They'd moved the date because bad weather became a factor. Marilyn Monroe serenades JFK singing Happy Birthday, Mr. President, before 15,000 at Madison Square Garden.
And one of them was the First Lady.
Today in 62, Stan Musial breaks Honus Wagner's NL hit record with his 3,431 hit. 73, Big Red Secretariat wins the Preakness in the fastest ever time, 154. The Flyers shut out the Bruins to win the Stanley Cup today in 1974, becoming the first expansion team to win the Cup. Smokey and the
Bernie Perrant, that's when the legend was born. They beat the big bad Bruins 1-0 in Game 6.
Smokey and the Bandit premiered today in 1977. Another movie that you probably couldn't get away with making today. Jackie Gleason's lines in and of themselves would never get past any movie board.
When we get home, I am going to punch your mama right in the mouth. Why
Today-
is that, Dad? Sorry.
Oh, that's it. That's the line. I mean, you had it with that one. You had it. 79, Spectacular Bid wins the Preakness. Today in 84, it began for the Oil. Gretzky would score 2, and Edmonton would revenge their loss from a year prior and beat the Islanders in 5 for their first Stanley Cup title. 1989, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing premiered. 2009, Glee premiered on Fox. Big day today for David Moulton in 2018. It was 6 years ago today that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle tied the knot.
Hey!
Koepka leads wire to wire to win the PGA at Bethpage today in 2019. 2 years ago, Xander Schauffele wins his first major at Valhalla in the PGA. And a year ago, they finally found the bust of Morrison that was stolen from his grave in 1988. I was there in 89. It was gone, obviously. Malcolm X, Coach Bill Fitch, Andre the Giant, and Joey Ramone would have all celebrated birthdays today. Pete Townsend from The Who's 81. Model and actress Grace Jones is 78. Archie Manning, 77. I had no idea Grace Jones was older than Archie Manning. Bill Lambier is 69. KJ Choi, the golfer, he's 56. Kevin Garnett is 50. That blew me away. Michael Che from SNL is 43, and Mercedes Lewis, former Jags, 42. What did I miss, David?
Nothing.
I like it when that happens. Makes life a lot easier. Well, let's just keep moving right along.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Utah. Story is Utah, where firefighters in Utah rescued 25 million bees in a broken down semi-truck. Apparently, the truck broke down, and while mechanics worked on the truck, firefighters carefully used a hose to mist the trailer to keep the bees cool, calm, and safe in the heat. The hive, 480 hives, contained around 50,000 bees. No firefighters were stung in the operation. More firefighters, this time in Massachusetts, for the bad, where they had to come rescue a 2-year-old boy who got his head stuck in the banister on a staircase inside the family's home. Do we really think that this child's going to amount to much if he's going to stick his head through the banister of the stairway? I think you interview the parents, find out how smart they are before you continue. And for the ugly, we go to Naples, Florida, where a man already on felony drug probation was arrested again after Collier County Sheriff said he was wanting a one-stop drug shop out of a storage unit. Omar Gutierrez, a 22-year-old, apparently was stopped by police, and they detected the scent of some marijuana. They found a vape cart and keys to a storage unit. When they went to the storage unit, boy, did they find some stuff. About 2,000 vape cartridges, some guns, more than 100 grand in cash, 2.5 kilos of cocaine, 100 plus grams of meth, mushrooms, DMT, Xanax. Good gracious, that sounds like a hell of a weekend. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, hiring new officers, offering great pay, fantastic benefits, other jobs available. For information, capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
So, no hockey tonight. Then we get right back on the horse, Western Conference Finals one day, Eastern Conference Finals the next. But right now, we got no hockey tonight. We do have hoop, game 1 in the East. Knicks and Cavs. You do know, as a Knicks fan, I am scared beyond belief.
You shouldn't be, but I understand why.
If they had played, even though OG Anunoby was hurt and probably would have missed the first 2 games, but if they had kept playing, they'd destroy the Cavs. 5 tops. Now, Mark, I don't know if they're going to shoot like that ever again. We said it's the best the Knicks have played over a 7-game stretch in over 50 years. One has to think they're not going to come back and pick up where they left off, and if so, not quickly. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I think there's 2 factors there. One, you're probably right, just based on it would be tough to continue that. And 2, the Cavs play a little better defense than Philadelphia.
Yeah. And Atlanta. Yep.
Right. That's the other side of this.
So, Knicks, Cavs, both veteran teams, both been together about a handful of years, have made some moves adding on. Cleveland got over the hump to get to the conference finals. The Knicks have to get over the hump to get to the NBA finals. Game 1 tonight, 8 o'clock ESPN. Knicks a 7.5-point favorite. So the only big change to the baseball lineup today, for whatever reason, the Braves and Marlins are playing like a 4:30 game. Not quite sure why, because they play a 6:40 game tomorrow night. But I don't know if there's something going on.
Yeah, I have no idea what. Got to be something.
Yeah, is there something going on in Miami that they need to be done by 7:30 for? But so anyway, Braves and Marlins 4-ish today. One WNBA game tonight, if you're interested.
I'm not, but thank you.
No, I understand that. So there you have it. Big news should come out later today at the owners' meetings that we're expecting. Nashville gets a Super Bowl. Minneapolis gets a draft. Okay. Congrats. Good luck.
So there you have it. A little bit of baseball. I'm done betting baseball, by the way, for a while.
Okay.
I can't pick a winner. I mean, I have mushed this 10 ways but sideways. I'm waiting for doubleheaders and betting the second game. That's all I'm doing for the rest of the year. I have watched my Hard Rock account just collapse. And I don't have a lot in there. I said it before. I have a gambling problem. I bet like Trent Valley, $5 a game. I mean, I go nuts. And my wife knows nearly every bet I make. But I missed the Derby. I missed the Preakness. I've missed about 5 baseball games in the meantime. It's like, holy Toledo. Could I win something here? And the 2 futures I bet on baseball look just horrific right now.
Did you bet the Canadians last night?
I did. I've not bet hardly any hockey, and I don't know why. Probably should have bet the Canadians last night. We said to bet the Canadians.
Right. We told everyone to bet the Canadians. But, by the way, you asked me a question, even though I think it was an off-air discussion. And please don't pass judgment on me. But I really was not exposed to this group until I was basically the 90s.
Let me at least repeat the question first. I asked you what band that you don't like that everybody else likes.
Black Sabbath.
Wow.
I hardly ever heard Black Sabbath before I was in my late 20s. So,
but you don't like them.
In my formative years, no. And yet I've grown to love Zeppelin and Skynyrd and what have you, but Black Sabbath, whatever. He became a Tom Petty fan.
I can do War Pigs and Paranoid any day of the week. But
I understand.
But that's me. Not that I'm putting on a lot of Sabbath albums these days. Although Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath by music people, they say is a pretty good one. It's just, I'm not as hard as I used to be with my music. In fact, I had a buddy when he sent me a couple of songs. I said, "Why, you're a little instrumental thing." He goes, "Listen here, Mr. Steely Dan." I'm a big Steely Dan fan. And then listed me like 12 new rockers of stuff that I'd never heard of. I'm like, all right, hey, just pump the brakes there, my man. That wasn't knocking it. I was just letting you know you're giving me some instrumental jams, and I'm fine with that.
I will say I soured on Aerosmith because every time I saw him in the late 70s and early 80s, Steven Tyler was wasted, and they were terrible in concert. But once he sobered up, it was like, oh, okay, good deal.
Well, we hope you spend your day maybe getting a buzz and then sobering up for Miller and Moulton tomorrow. What do we got? Seth Everett, J.P. Peterson,
Pat Kerwin.
Look at that. Sounds like a show. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at